Chapter 812, The Chief Towers. Waymo and Ague stared into each other's eyes. Agui's wooden face moved stiffly. Her misty eyes seemed to focus. The feeling that Waymo felt when he saw Agui's eyes recover life under his gaze could not be described. For some reason, a strong warmth filled his heart, and his nose felt sore. Was this fate? Waymo looked dazedly at Ague, and allowed the tears to fall. Young master. A hand reached towards his face and wiped his tears for him. Agui's eyes glowed like the brightest of stars, and her murmurs the most beautiful music in the world. Young master, don't cry. Ague will forever protect young master. The young female's voice carried a thread of rawness and clumsiness, but it was filled with her innocent heart just like in their childhood. Waymo felt as though he could not control his emotions. Tears blurred his vision. He tried to grin, to make himself look like he was smiling. He used his hands to roughly wipe away the tears on his face. Looking at the figure of the young female in his sight that was still slightly blurry, he said loudly, "Nonsense. Do not underestimate your young master. Now it is time for young master to protect you. I'm telling you, young master is very very strong now. Kuan Luan, Tian Huan, they will be beaten like dogs by your young master." Ague looked serenely at Waymo, her lively nimble eyes filling with warmth and faint bashfulness. There was nothing that motivated Waymo more than Agui's awakening. Waymo felt as though he was full of energy and power. If Lin Qian was in front of him, he would carry the anti-dragon claw and howl as he beat Lin Qian like a dog. Having broken free of the undying Shen punishment's restrictions, Agui's strength reached an astounding power. Waymo asked Ague how she had broken free of the undying Shen punishment. Ague had a puzzled expression. It had been too long since Ague spoke. As a result, in both expression and speech, she was slightly stiff. As long as Ague was free. So happy he was about to go insane, Waymo was like a wasteland beast filled with energy and unprecedented motivation. He wanted to tear down this entire ocean. However, not everyone was wasteland beast. Everyone needed to meditate to recover Shen power. 3 days later, Wei Xing Shixiang opened his eyes. Following him, Tseng Lianer, Luo Li and the others also opened their eyes. By the time everyone had recovered, 5 days had passed. When everyone saw Ague smiling and standing bashfully next to Waymo, they were astounded. Was this the same brutal, ruthless, and cold-blooded Ague? The strong reversal in personality shocked them for a long time before they recovered. Only the little ones came over without hesitation, still close to Ague. The seal scripts in the sky above the king's forbidden city were much fainter. After being continuously attacked for 5 days, their expenditure was astounding. However, this kind of consumption was worth it. Everyone's Shen power had recovered to their maximum, and this caused them to be full of confidence. Waymo, who had been waiting impatiently, waved his arm. "Let's go." Everyone formed the formation again and traveled between the storm. Everyone had learned from the previous experience and were more skilled at passing through the storm. They flew for 7 days. Suddenly, Waymo's eyes lit up. He pointed forward and shouted, "Look, there." Through the rain and hail, they saw a small black dot in the distance. Everyone became refreshed and they sped up. When they flew closer, the blurry shadow became clear. It was a set of bronze gates. The gates stood alone above the ocean. The surroundings were calm winds and bright sun. A ray of sunlight traveled through the dark clouds and shone off the bronze gates. They were finally about to leave this damned place. Everyone was excited. Who would have thought that they had suffered for 23 days in this body of water? 23 days. When they passed through the storm and flew in front of the copper door, everyone had a smile on their face. Pushing open the bronze gates, a long passageway appeared in front of them. Everyone was on alert and carefully entered the passageway. Unexpectedly, there were no defenses in the passageway. However, the passageway was longer than they imagined. They walked for a long time before they saw light up ahead. Flying out of the passageway, a tall tower that reached the clouds appeared in front of them. Up there! The ghost mist child shouted joyfully, "This is the chief tower. The Shin device nucleus is up there." Hearing this, everyone was energized. Suemo said unhesitatingly, "Let's go up." The group flew upwards. The chief tower was tall, so tall it surpassed imagination. They flew through the astral wind and still hadn't reached the top of the chief tower. Flying upwards like this took a great amount of Shin power. None of them had flown so high before. Everyone's expression became solemn. Soon, the weakest guards slowed down. They panted and didn't have the energy to fly upwards. They were about 500 to 600 li from the ground. While they had strong minds, they couldn't help but pale. Even flying with a sword, no one would fly so high. The wind was like knives. The higher it was, the stronger the wind. Suemo saw this and said, "Go down, and wait for us below." Finishing, they continued to fly up. The wind high up became even strong. Suemo and the others had to use Shin power. The wind created sparks when it hit their protective shields. The wind here was packed. From afar, the group looked like a swarm of meteors flying upwards and drawing a tail of sparks behind them. The faster they passed through, the sooner they would be safe. Everyone gathered their power and furiously headed upwards. Boom! Everyone suddenly felt the pressure ease. The sparks around them all disappeared. They had passed through the wind layer. Everyone looked down curiously. The wind layer was extremely thick. Anyone weak would be torn to pieces by the strong wind high up. Suemo and the others possessed strength, but if there was no matter, no one would be so bored as to take a stroll in the strong wind layer. Void, endless void. In this void, the sun and the stars appeared together. Everyone was attracted by the wondrous scene in front of them. So in the sky up high, it was like this. Without the wind, everyone's worries were eased. They raised their heads. They still could not see the top of the chief tower. Everyone inhaled in shock. Continue the charge. Suemo gritted his teeth and flew out along the chief tower. The others did not hesitate and followed closely. They continued to fly upwards. Yet everyone was filled with shock. A tower that was 10,000 li tall. What great work of labor was this? How strong had the creator of the Totem Colosseum been? 15,000 li. When they flew to a height of 15,000 li, everyone finally saw the enormous shadow covering them. That top of the tower was enormous. Everyone became nervous. Even Wei Sheng had a slightly nervous expression. The power represented by a tower 15,000 li tall surpassed any sect. No one knew what was at the top of the tower. But at this time, no one would retreat. Everyone, be careful. Suemo's nerves were also tensed. Everyone slowed down as though they were facing a great enemy. They slowly flew towards the outskirts. The Rao foam the tower was enormous. They had to fly to the edges of the tower top in order to get to the top of the tower. When everyone flew to the edges of the tower top and then flew upwards, they stretched out their necks. They were all shocked by the scene in front of them. This was an enormous and flat stage, a large stage that could hold tens of thousands of people sleeping on the ground. The ground was as smooth as a mirror without any marks. It was smoothly polished as though it was a piece of stone that had been cut open in the middle. Star lights in the billions gathered on the stage that turned into a thick pillar of light that shot towards the center of the stage. When they flew up, what they saw was this mirror-smooth stage and a pillar of star light that hung down from the firmament. Star power, counted in the billions, were mostly as thin as hair or invisible to sight. Only a few of the stars formed faint rays of light that came down. But when these minuscule rays of light gathered in the billions, it was astounding strong. Zhuemo was the first to recover from the astounding scene. He could feel the thick power of the stars from far away, but his obsession with treasure caused him to quickly refocus. There was something in the thick pillar of star light. There's something in the pillar. Zhuemo shouted. Everyone seemed to wake up and stared at the pillar. There was something flickering in and out of view inside the pillar of star light. The scene in front of them was so stunning. Every piece represented terrifyingly great power. Chief Tower, the mirror stage, the pillar of star light. All of them were masterworks, and needed uncanny skill. So terrifying. Seeing their goal in sight, the reverence they felt did not decrease but increased. If someone this powerful set up Jinji, if they just touched it, they would most likely turn into dust. Everyone was experienced and knew that at times like this, they had to be even more careful. Looking at the distance, Zhuomo's mind shifted, and he turned to ask Qin Shao for the green pulse string. The green pulse string was long enough to reach it without stepping on the stage. There were too many strange things about this stage. If he didn't have to step on it, it was better not to. Zhuomo's wrist shook and the green pulse string shot towards the central pillar of the stage like a nimble snake. A strange feeling came from the other end. Zhuemo was overjoyed. It worked. Gritting his teeth, Zhuemo ignored everything else. The green pulse string was pulled, and it shot back at him with what was inside the pillar of light. Boom! Zhuomo's action seemed to have poked the hornet's nest. The pillar of star light responded to the disappearance of the thing inside. It melted like snow from the end of the pillar of light. Zhuemo and the others that were afraid of the effects had moved away long ago. Crack, crack, crack. The surface of the mirror started to crack. Terrifying cracks appeared on the stage. Boom, oom, oom. The cracking did not show any signs of stopping. It headed down destructively along the chief tower. Under the wide gazes and open mouths of Zhuomo's group, this tall tower that was 15,000 li tall cracked inch by inch and collapsed. Chapter 813, Allies. When Zhuomo's group escaped from the ruins behind them had completely collapsed. Shattered fragments of stone flew and floated in air as though they were weightless. The stone stretched out for thousands of li and looked like a thick and low-hanging cloud. The Lotus Sutra temple disciples that had been waiting near the ruins were stunned by the sudden collapse. Lotus Sutra temple's sect leader changed expression. The scene in front of her was too astounding. Had Zhuemo encountered great danger? The more she thought, the uglier her expression became. At this time, if something happened to Zhuemo, Cloud C was over. Unlike other sects, Lotus Sutra Temple did not have many choices left to them. Lotus Sutra Temple had just burned their ties with Kunlun, and Tian Huan could only live if they sided with Mo Cloud C. She might have regrets, but she was not an ordinary person. She knew that saving the other was her only choice, as Mo Cloud C was in great danger at T moment. She was already tied with Mo Cloud C, prospering and declining together. After learning that Mo Cloud C lacked materials, she had transported a batch of materials to Mo Cloud C. But Lotus Sutra Temple was too small, and did not have any outstanding abilities to produce materials. The other sects, afraid of Tian Huan, did not sell materials to her. The sect leader of Lotus Sutra Temple was burning in urgency, but Zhuemo and the other had not come out. She waited outside the entrance of the ruins in order to see Zhuemo as soon as possible. When the sect leader saw the figures of Zhuemo and the others, she finally sighed in relief. "Let's go," she said urgently. Zhuemo saw the urgency of the sect leader and immediately realized that something must have happened. "What is it?" "Well, speak on the way." The sect leader of Lotus Sutra Temple flew out first. Seeing this, Zhuemo did not linger and followed immediately. Everyone else knew that something had happened, and the mood of the group became heavy. When Zuoyamo heard the sect leader of Lotus Sutra Temple explaining the situation, his heart continued to sink. He immediately ran into the sea of consciousness and asked when he found Pu Yao and Wei. "Why didn't you tell me?" He knew that Pu Yao definitely knew long ago. With Pu Yao's strength, he was able to connect to the 10-finger prison from within the ruins. "What's the use in telling you?" Pu Yao snorted. Zuoyamo was speechless, unable to think of a response. He had been in the ruins surrounded by danger at the time. If he had been distracted even in the slightest, then he would have died in the ruins. Zuoyamo relaxed his tone, his brow creased. "What solutions do you have?" "These are the suggestions that Hong Xiao and Song Ling Shui gave us." Pu Yao threw over a ball of light. Zuoyamo received it and countless words flew through his mind. Hong Xiao and Song Ling Shui's suggestions were to the point. First was to push out stronger Shen equipment to increase Mo Cloud C's fame. Second was to see if they could advertise Shen equipment to the Mo and the Yao. Mo Cloud Shen equipment was most suitable for Mo Cloud System Shen power, and was the primary Shen equipment of Mo Cloud C. However, the Mo Shen power and the Yao Shen power were completely different. If they could make Shen equipment of these two types, it would definitely be welcomed. Third was to attempt to purchase materials from the Mo and Yao realms. This way, they could avoid the sanctions of Tianhuan. Fourth was to increase Ling farming on the 44 newly conquered Jie to increase production of materials. Zuoyamo read through carefully and was slightly reassured. It had to be said that these suggestions were all good. If they could follow these suggestions, they could break Tianhuan's monopoly of the Xiuzhe world. Right now, Mo Cloud C had expanded to 113 Jie. While this could not compare to Kunlun and Tianhuan, it could be considered large. Follow these suggestions, have Golden Crow Camp start work. Zuoyamo thought of Golden Crow Camp and then suddenly thought of Shi Xian's astounding large Shen equipment order. Based on the present situation, the order was in danger. Wait. Shi Xian. Zuoyamo's expression changed slightly. He suddenly realized that the crux of the entire matter was not all the supplies, but Shi Xian's alliance. From the breakdowning in the supply chain, stealing their market share, all of this was like a chain tightening on their necks. While they would feel suffocated, it would not be immediately fatal. What was truly fatal was a change in Shi Xian's attitude. Shi Xian was the most important point. If Shi Xian sided with the enemy, they would immediately be surrounded on three sides. The first to fall would be the 9 great Dhyana sects. The 5 sects that were still resisting now would have to submit to Kunlun and Tianhuan. Would Shi Xian change sides? Zuoyamo's head was a mess. He was one of the few that knew that Zhongde only had 3 years left to live. Would Shi Xian change sides? If Kunlun and Tianhuan agreed to an alliance, then definitely. If they allied with Kunlun and Tianhuan, they could follow the two factions and divide the 9 great Dhyana sects and Mo Cloud C. The declining Shi Xian might be able to turn the situation around. He could see this, and he didn't believe that Shi Xian couldn't see it. Damn it! Zuoyamo's expression became ugly. Finding a remote location, the sect leader of Lotus Sutra Temple said, "Yuan Hao said for you to immediately contact him after coming out." Zuoyamo took a deep breath. He knew that the more urgent the situation, the more he had to remain calm. Tianhuan made a great move. Gu Yangdao shook his head and said, his expression worried, "This time, Brother Zhua is probably in trouble." Shuang Ye's expression was also serious. He said, "Is there no way of solving this?" Xiao was at the side with a terrible expression. "The crux is Shi Xian." Gu Yangdao's face imperceptibly twitched. These 2 words would always easily pierce his heart. The twitch was so minute that even Shuang Yu didn't detect it. Gu Yangdao's expression was dark but his tone calmed. Zhongde only has 3 years, more accurately, slightly more than 2 years. Without Zhongde's support, the death of Xixian is just a matter of time. The people from Xixian can definitely see this. If they ally with Tianhuan, this is a rare chance for Xixian. Shuang Yu was slightly puzzled. Mo Cloud C, who had seemed to be prospering just a few days ago, seemed to be suddenly surrounded by enemies, and was also at the end of its tether. Send materials to Mo Cloud C, as much as we have, Gu Liangdao said. Xiao did not waste words. Yes. He said rapidly. We also have some extra money and can buy some materials. Send them all. Gu Liangdao waved his hand. Xiao nodded. He didn't speak and turned to leave quickly. Shuang Yu raised his face to look at Gu Liangdao. While it is minuscule, we should do as much as we are able. Gu Liangdao had a determined expression. No matter if it is for the common good or for ourselves, we cannot watch as Mo Cloud C falls. A light flashed through Shuang Ye's eyes. What are we going to do? He was unusually respectful of his brother. Seeing Gu Liangdao's spirited expression, he was similarly fearless. This was also why he followed Gu Liangdao and did not stay at Xixian. Kill Tianhuan. Gu Liangdao's gaze was sharp as he said. In the mirage, Yang Yuanhao had a tired expression. The pressure he had been under in this period of time was unimaginable. The 5 large sects that had been of one mind began to have differing opinions after seeing Tianhuan's fierce attacks and Mo Cloud C's dilemma. Compared to the fighting on the battlefield, internal fighting made his mind feel even more tired. Brothers Hua, you have been well since we last met. Even at this time, Yang Yuanhao's speech and conduct was flawless. His handsome face recovered its usual calm. It is not well, it is great trouble. Sui Mo grimaced. Yang Yuanhao grinned, but his expression quickly became stern. The situation is truly terrible. According to the information Nu got, Tianhuan's envoys have already reached Xixian. The conditions they set are very detrimental to us. What conditions? Sui Mo asked. Sect leader oath for a defensive pact. Tianhuan will have a duty to help Xixian fend off other attacks. In other words, if Xixian is attacked, Tianhuan will have to announce war on the other. For 10 years. Yang Yuanhao's expression was terrible. Sui Mo was not too surprised. Tianhuan had been so fierce in their opening moves, how could their killing move be soft? He laughed. Tianhuan really thinks highly of Mo Cloud C, they are willing to pay the price of not touching Xixian for 10 years. Yes. Tianhuan has an expert directing them. Yang Yuanhao nodded and a hint of admiration flashed through his eyes. But I have to admit that their move is beautiful, and we are very discomfort. Sui Mo asked, how's the situation on your side? Not very good. Yang Yuanhao shook his head. They are fighting a lot. The majority are remaining neutral, these short-sighted people. Having this proven, Sui Mo was even more calm. This was within his prediction. What do you plan on doing? Yang Yuanhao looked at Sui Mo. He was filled with curiosity. Facing such a situation, what would Sui Mo, who had produced miracles, do? From a long time ago, he had paid attention secretly to the master of Mo Cloud C, who did not seem very outstanding. In his view, the rise of Mo Cloud C was a spectacular legend yet was reliant on chance. But there was a person that attracted his attention, the master of Mo Cloud C. Sui Mo examining Sui Mo's history, he found to his shock that Sui Mo had never truly lost. Sui Mo was like an undying juggernaut. He would also successfully flip the situation when people thought that all hope was lost, and would take a bite of the richest spoils. One time was luck, but multiple times, that was not luck. So when Yang Yuanhao found that Mo Cloud C was in an unprecedented situation, he was under pressure, but he was also curious. In such a terrible situation, what would Sui Mo do? What would you choose? Sui Mo suddenly raised his head and asked. Me? Yang Yuanhao had a surprised expression. He perceptively detected the importance of Zhuo Mo's sentence. Zhuo Mo said, you, and not, your side. Yes, you. Zhuo Mo emphasized the word you. He looked directly at Yang Yuanhao and said calmly, your situation is bad as well. After this matter, discord will have been sown. There will be a divide between the 5 great sections. Just relying on Thunder Sound Temple and Lotus Sutra Temple, you cannot do a thing. They can side with Tianhuan or Kunlun, but what will you do? Siding with them is not a bad matter. Yang Yuanhao shrugged. And then? Zhuo Mo stared at him, each word hitting his heart. You will be marginalized, then alongside the rest of the 9 great Dhyana sects, become cannon fodder for Tianhuan and Kunlun. Don't say it won't happen, you understand them as well. Their traditions are deeply rooted, they are strong internally. You will never be able to squeeze into their inner circle. To them, are there any cannon fodder better than you? The speech caused Yang Yuanhao's expression to shift, and the sect leader of Lotus Sutra Temple behind Zhuo Mo seemed to make a decision. At least, I will live longer. Yang Yuanhao raised his head and shot back, worry about yourself first and about how to stay alive. Zhuo Mo did not speak but just a cold and sharp smile. Chapter 814, Hostage, he's crazy. He wants to pull us all down with him to the grave. Xixian sect leader's furious shriek echoed in the secret room. He almost could not believe that Zhongde had unexpectedly refused to ally with Tianhuan. He really could not imagine any reason that Zhongde would have. Didn't he know that he would only live for 2 more years? Or because he knew he would not be living for long, he wanted to have everyone die with him? This madman. Yes, this was definitely it. The sect leader of Xixian was filled with terror. This madman could do anything now. If he wanted everyone to die with him, then he would definitely do it. Why? The sect leader of Xixian could not understand. But in his eyes, Zhongde was a madman, one that could do anything. Originally, he had hid his strength and bided his time. All of the things he done, he did not conceal from Zhongde because he knew that Zhongde only had 3 years left to live. Xixian would end up his in the end. Even if the Tianhuan envoys visited Zhongde first, he was displeased but he kept his calm. Without Zhongde, Xixian would immediately collapse. What he was most worried about was not Zhongde's in power, but what would happen to Xixian after Zhongde died. He was furiously searching for young talent. He hoped to find a successor to Zhongde. His fear of death gnawed at his soul day and night, and he woke up countless times from nightmares. Suddenly, Tianhuan had caused him to see 10 years of peace. A whole 10 years. He did not have to live in fright all the time. 10 years. He would have enough time to slowly search and uncover new geniuses. Xixian was a large sect, how could they not have geniuses? If he had enough time, he could do it. At that time, he would be the true master of Xixian, the true sect leader of Xixian. But this hope that came from the hope was smashed ruthlessly by Zhongde, that bloodthirsty madman. Sect leader, this is a rare opportunity. A confidant of the sect leader, Ban Xia, came forward and said, use the death of Mo Cloud Sea to buy 10 years of peace for us, what is there to hesitate about? If we form the alliance, we can buy Shin equipment from Tianhuan. Tianhuan and us will ally against Kunlun, this is a true equilibrium of 3 powers. Ban Xia was a true confidant who had grown up with him. He had gone to Ban Xia to plot and commit many schemes. The sect leader said dispiritedly, the madman will not agree, what is to be done? If we rebel, he will kill us. Ban Xia lowered his voice. We cannot deal with him, but other people can. You mean? The sect leader suddenly raised his head and said in a trembling voice. Since Zhongde is the biggest problem, then we will eliminate this problem. Ban Xia's tone was dark as he made a cutting motion with a vicious expression. Tian Huan's intentions are clear, they have finally acted. Mo Cloud C is their biggest enemy. For Mo Cloud C, they are willing to do anything. This. The sect leader's mind shook and his expression wavered. We can imply to Tian Huan, they will naturally think of a way. We only need to give them some secret aid. Once the head is cut off, sect leader can step forward to take control of the situation and it will stabilize. Ban Xia said gravely, also, we can push this onto Mo Cloud C. It had to be said that Ban Xia's plan had a high possibility of success. If Tian Huan sent out a top expert, and with them working from inside, the possibility of success was high. Hesitation flashed across the sect leader's face. But if Zhongde is dead, what do we do if Kunlun and Tian Huan go back on their word and attack us? A matter like this could not be written down. If this was leaked, he would be overthrown as sect leader. Also, Zhongde was one of his greatest bargaining chips. Tian Huan and Kunlun were wary because of Zhongde's existence. Once Zhongde was gone, Shi Xian would become a piece of fat meat without any ability to defend itself. It was unknown if Tian Huan would hold to their previous agreement at that time. If Tian Huan did not abide by the agreement, then Shi Xian would be in danger. Ban Xia was also flummoxed by this problem. After some thought, his eyes suddenly lit up. We can have Tian Huan's Li Xian heir be our hostage. Li Xian heir is the granddaughter of Tian Huan's sect leader, and the leader of the younger generation of disciples. She is equivalent to Kunlun's Lin Qian. Tian Huan will definitely not allow anything to happen to Li Xian heir. If Tian Huan is willing to send us Li Xian heir as a hostage, it means that they are sincere. The sect leader's expression eased. This was a good plan. But he thought of another problem. Shaking his head, he said, which of us can match Li Xian heir's strength? It is too dangerous to have someone like this be a hostage. Ban Xia was full of intelligence. He smiled and said, Sect leader, you forgot we have a wondrous place. What place? The sect leader stilled. Fiend Abyss Jail. Ban Xia said a term that had long been forgotten. The sect leader's eyes suddenly lit up. Receiving the message that the sect leader of Shi Xian had secretly sent, the higher levels of Tian Huan were stuck in a dilemma. Shi Xian's demand was simple. They wanted a hostage, and they wanted Li Xian heir. This was not something that they could decide. Li Xian heir was the granddaughter of the sect leader, and the most talented disciple of the younger generation. Her future was limitless and it was very likely that she would become the next sect leader. This was not the only factor. Mu Shuang, one of the 10 great battle generals and a significant person in the sect, and Gongye Xiaorong, who was also thought to possess top battle general level strength, opposed this fiercely. This party could not be dismissed. But there were those that agreed, for example, one of the 10 great battle generals, Mi Nan. Mi Nan was ranked third among the 10 great battle generals, under only Xue Dong and Zhongde. He ranked even above Mu Shuang at 7th. He was one with real and great power in Tian Huan. Also, the Mi family was a traditionally powerful family within Tian Huan. In almost every generation, they had someone in a position of power. The Mi family had a near monopoly on Tian Huan's materials business and was extremely wealthy. Due to this, the Mi family wanted to kill Mo Cloud C more than everyone else. In these years as Mo Cloud C had risen, the Mi family's business had suffered greatly. Mi Nan was influential within Tian Huan. He was 68 this year, at the prime of his life. The battalion he led was the strongest battalion of Tian Huan, the only battalion with Tian Huan in the name, the Heaven Fate Hoop. Mi Nan was extremely skilled and a group of able people gathered around him. He could be considered the sect major power inside Tian Huan. The biggest faction in Tian Huan was, of course, the Tian Huan's sect leaders faction. The sect leader was peaceful in personality but fair in his conduct. Everyone respected him. Adding on that he had the support of the chief elder, a supreme existence, behind him, no one dared to oppose him. Mu Shuang was one of the 10 great battle generals, but the faction behind him was not as strong as Minan's. Mu Shuang was usually concerned with battles, and didn't have any interest in the affairs of the sect. Gongye Xiaorong had influence among the disciples. While he was not as respected as he had been before he had been defeated by Gongsun Cha, he was still respected for struggling and returning from the deadly situation. So when Mu Shuang and Gongye Xiaorong were united in opposition, their voices could not be ignored. The two sides fought fiercely. Minan's side thought that Shi Xian would not dare to harm Li Xian'er. Li Xian'er would be a hostage but not in danger. If she could complete Tian Huan's alliance with Shi Xian, Tian Huan would be in an undefeatable position. Otherwise, with Mo Cloud C competing with them in forging, and being weaker offensively than Kunlun, Tian Huan's future was in danger. The opposition claimed that Tian Huan had not reached the point that it needed to send a core member of the sect, like Li Xian'er, to act as hostage. It would be good to eliminate Mo Cloud C, but there was no need to pay such a great price. Also, they thought that Tian Huan was stronger than Mo Cloud C and they should not fear competing with Mo Cloud C. Like right now, when Tian Huan moved, they had the upper hand. In terms of overall strength, Mo Cloud C wasn't on the same level as Tian Huan. The two sides fought. Because it was concerning his granddaughter, the sect leader could not express an opinion. The chief elder who could make the decision was resting with his eyes closed in silence. Suddenly, Li Xian'er stepped out and said calmly, "I am willing to go." The hall immediately quieted. Gongye Xiaorong's expression was panicked. He was about to speak when Li Xian'er gave him a comforting expression. "I'm willing to go. Actually, everyone knows that the risk is not high. Also, even if there is risk, I still think we should agree to Shi Xian's demand. Because Mo Cloud C was more dangerous than Shi Xian and filled with more life." Li Xian'er's beautiful face was as calm as water. Her usual mischievousness had disappeared, and her voice echoed in the hall. "I've seen Zui Mo, I have interacted with them, I know how strong they are. An opponent like this should not be underestimated. This kind of chance is rare. If we can grab it, we can eliminate a great problem forever. Also, do not forget about Kunlun. We all know that we are a level below Kunlun in terms of offensive power. If we and Kunlun are the only ones left, the ones to fall in the end will be us." The hall was silent. Everyone was stunned by Li Xian'er's words. Minan, Mu Shuang, and Gongye Xiaorong did not have good expressions. What Li Xian'er was saying were things that people usually discussed in secret but no one had ever talked about it publicly. What is our advantage? Money. We are richer than Kunlun. This is our greatest weapon. We should spread our money to buy and recruit other factions. We need allies. If we have to fight against Kunlun, we need allies. Shi Xian is the most suitable ally. They have vast territory, and a great population. Once Zhongde is eliminated, there will not be any person in control with any real power. They can only rely on us. We will provide them with Shen equipment, with all kinds of fluff. They can outfit enough battalions to help us fight against Kunlun. An enormous amount of cannon fodder. This is what Tian Huan needs. Also, Mo Cloud C's existence will only weaken us. We have to fight them for materials, for market share. This will make Tian Huan poor. Without money, we cannot recruit other factions. We will lose our greatest weapon, we will be in danger." Li Xian'er's words were firm. Chief Elder opened his eyes at this time and showed admiration. He slowly said, "All of you do not think as clearly as a little girl. After returning from this mission, you will become the next sect leader." The Chief Elder announced his decision. Chapter 815, Yang Yuanhao's Dilemmas. Mo was very surprised when he received the message. Zhongde sent a message inquiring about the Shin equipment and also sent along a large shipment of materials. This message did not mention Tianhuan at all but expressed Zhongde's thoughts. Zhongde had not agreed to Tianhuan. Mo had to say that he was very shocked when he received the news. He really could not think of why Zhongde had chosen him. Even the stupidest person could see that the benefits of choosing Tianhuan were far greater than choosing Mo Cloud C. But Zhongde made an unexpected choice. Mo thought hard about why Zhongde had made this choice, but after thinking for a long time, he could not think of anything. After asking Pu Yao and confirming that Mo Cloud C had received a shipment of materials from Shixian, Mo's anxiety finally settled. While he did not know what Zhongde was thinking, but it appeared that Zhongde had refused Tianhuan. Zhongde's refusal of Tianhuan was the best news that Mo had heard in recent days. Mo threw away his puzzlement and started to consider the effects of Zhongde's unexpected choice on Mo Cloud C. Zhongde was the true holder of power in Shixian. His refusal of Tianhuan meant that Tianhuan's strategic intentions were destroyed. Mo Cloud C's situation was not as bad as it was previously. But had the danger been resolved? Mo had to admit that Tianhuan's moves had hit Mo Cloud C in their weakness. He could feel it. How could Tianhuan not feel it? Tianhuan's scheme only had one obstacle: Zhongde. Mo put himself in Tianhuan's position and thought. If it was him, what would he do? Go around Zhongde? Impossible. Zhongde was in control of Shixian at the moment and could not be skirted around. If Zhongde could not be avoided, there was only one solution: eliminate Zhongde. Eliminating Zhongde would be eliminating the only obstacle. Zhongde was a great battle general and heavily protected. How could he be eliminated? Send an army? Mo shook his head. The price was too high to start a war with the second-ranked battle general and was famed for his viciousness and bloodthirstiness. If Tianhuan was not dumb, they would definitely not do such a thing. Then there was only one choice: assassination. Mo was startled, his eyes suddenly widening. It definitely would be an assassination. Tianhuan had top experts, and from the information he obtained, the sect leader of Shixian clearly was in agreement to ally with Tianhuan, and would likely act as a spy. Zhongde was in danger. Mo's heart beat wildly. Yang Yuanhao had not had a good rest in the past few days. This was very rare for him. His calm and steadiness were his most outstanding traits. He understood himself. No matter what kind of battle it was, he could maintain his calm and stability. The choices he made would never surpass the limits of his ability. He never tried to do anything outside of his abilities. He was always measured and unhurried. It was as though nothing could disturb his peace of mind. His strategic vision was not as good as Xue Dong, he was not as decisive as Zhongde, not as experienced as Mi Nan, not as sharp as Gongsun Cha, and compared to Bihan, his explosiveness was lacking. Of the 10 great battle generals, the one that did not have any unique trait was Yang Yuanhao. He seemed to not have any trait that was outstanding, yet he could always win. His fighting style was just so. All of his skills were strangely equal, and none were better than any other. Of course, being as well-rounded to such a degree was special in itself. He was the only one. However, only people that studied Yang Yuanhao's fighting methods would understand his terrifying nature. What was scariest about Yang Yuanhao was that he would always make the appropriate choice at the appropriate time. These choices may not be the best, but they would not be bad. Countless choices formed countless small advantages that would accumulate and, in the end, turn into victory. Yang Yuanhao's victories would cause other people to feel hopeless. People that were trapped would not detect and they had started to lose. Steadiness, a hope-robbing steadiness. He almost didn't have a weakness. But such a calm and steady mind was thrown into chaos by Zhuo Mo's words. What should he do? He could not disguise his disappointment with the present state of the 9 great Dhyana sects. While he knew that this alliance would have a short honeymoon, but he was still disappointed when this day came so quickly. Zhuo Mo's words caused some things he did not want to face to surface in front of him. This was really a dislikable person. He could not refute Zhuo Mo's words. Both Kunlun and Tian Huan would definitely welcome him. No matter if it was because of the 9 great Dhyana sects or himself who was the 5th-ranking battle general. But he also knew that if he sided with Kunlun or Tian Huan, he could receive good treatment but would definitely be unable to enter the inner circles of the 2 sections. Kunlun and Tian Huan were full of talent, and their inner competition was fierce enough. If he, an outsider, tried to squeeze in, he would be unanimously rejected. The best result would be leading his battalion to guard a base that was not important and live an idle life. The worst-case result would be that he and the 9 great Dhyana sects would be turned into cannon fodder and sent into the battlefields with the most fighting. None of these were things that he wanted. For any battle general, a chance to fight all kinds of factions like right now was a rare chance. Who did not want to accomplish something? Also, Yang Yuanhao had the ability. As to cannon fodder, no one was willing to be cannon fodder. Yang Yuanhao was not dumb. He naturally understood Zhuo Mo's intentions of recruiting him. Based on the situation, Mo Cloud C was actually the most suitable. Mo Cloud C had only been founded for a short time, they did not have any well-established local powers. Zhuo Mo himself was a reliable person. Also, Mo Cloud C was strong but had a small territory. They would definitely expand. This way, he did not need to worry that there would be no wars to fight. However, Mo Cloud C's situation was dangerous right now. If they were the least bit careless, they would lose it all. Joining Mo Cloud C at this time meant that he needed to take on this danger as well. The future was unknown. Even if he was willing to take on the risk, other people may not. He was not Zhongde, one person who could decide the fate of all of Xixien. He had power, but the one in charge of Thunder Sound Temple was still the sect leader. Would sect leader be willing to ally with Mo Cloud C right now? He shook his head. Everyone would want to avoid at this time. He decided to go and ask the sect leader. When Yang Yuanhao saw the sect leader, he did not conceal any of his thoughts and reported everything to the sect leader. After the sect leader heard this, he closed his eyes and remained silent. Yang Yuanhao was silent. He knew that sect leader was thinking. If Tianhuan succeeds, what do you think the result is? The sect leader opened his eyes and asked Yang Yuanhao. Yang Yuanhao thought and said, if Tianhuan succeeds, Mo Cloud C will be danger, they will be surrounded and attacked on 3 sides. Mo Cloud C's territory is not connected to them, the sect leader said coolly. Yang Yuanhao stilled and his expression changed slightly. Then they will first get rid of us. How does our Thunder Sound Temple compare to Kunlun and Tianhuan? The sect leader asked. As weak as a baby, Yang Yuanhao responded. In other words, even if we join Tianhuan and Kunlun, we are not needed, and unimportant, the sect leader seemed to say to himself. Yes. While he did not want to admit it, Yang Yuanhao knew that this was the truth. How do we compare to Mo Cloud C? The sect leader asked. We are greatly inferior, Yang Yuanhao's response was honest. How much? The sect leader asked. Yang Yuanhao struggled with this question. After thinking, he said, them 10, us 3. After a while, he thought and then added, them 10, we 2. The sect leader did not care and asked directly, if Lotus Sutra Temple is added? Them 10, us 3. In other words, if we join them, our importance is only 3 out of 13. The sect leader asked, what if we join Tianhuan and Kunlun? What is our importance? Not even 1 in 13. Yang Yuanhao understood what the sect leader meant but couldn't resist saying, however, Mo Cloud Sea is in danger, and can be destroyed at any time. Is it better to give coal in the winter, or give gold to gild the lily? The sect leader asked. But is there really not a solution? The sect leader said cryptically. Your mind is better than ours, think hard. Does Mo Cloud Sea really not have a solution? If we are added, is there still no chance to turn this around? Think, who, like us, is not willing to see Mo Cloud Sea fall? Yang Yuanhao was stunned where he stood, only one sentence in his mind. Was there really no solution? Zhuo Mo was never someone that waited around for others to decide his fate. Ever since he thought of the possibility that Tian Huan would attempt to assassinate Zhongde, Zhuo Mo and the others moved. Undoubtedly, there was nothing else at this time that was more important than protecting Zhongde. Zhongde's Abyss Jail Battalion was powerful and his protection would not be a problem. However, there was a great problem. He lacked true top experts. This was usually not a problem, but if there was someone on the inside helping his enemies, Zhongde's safety would be questionable. Zhuo Mo's group did not dawdle at all. They traveled day and night at their fastest sped towards Tianhuan. They needed to get to Zhongde before the experts of Tianhuan. If Zhongde did not die, Tianhuan's strategic aim would not be realized. Then this danger to Mo Cloud Sea was not something that could not be overcome. If they then retreated for 2 years, then they would have enough power to solve all of these problems. Mo Cloud Sea did not lack Ling farmers. The unique formation Ling fields of Mo Cloud Sea would be able to be spread used across their territories. The new 44 jia they took was enough to satisfy Mo Cloud Sea's demand for materials. After 2 years, their situation would be resolved on its own. But everything was based on the fact that Zhongde would live until then. Only a living Zhongde could stop Tianhuan. For safety, Zhuo Mo did not split up his subordinates. The people he took on his journey this time were almost all of the high-level fighting forces in Mo Cloud Sea. He had enough confidence to fight against the experts of Tianhuan. This would be an unprecedentedly hard battle. The two sides fighting all had reasons that they needed to complete. Chapter 816, The Change Among the Yao. It was hard to detect the secret battle between Tianhuan and Mo Cloud Sea if one did not pay attention. All of the Xiuzhe world was in turbulence, yet on the surface, it appeared peaceful. At this time, the internal conflict of the Yao Council of Elders attracted the attention of the world. The cause of the matter was because of a speech that the youngest inner council member, Ming Yuyi, had made at a Yao art house. Ming Yuyi had given a fervent speech, criticizing the present Yao for their relaxed attitude. She used all kinds of examples to illustrate the terrible lives of the Yao Jia that had ended up in the hands of the Xiuzhe. When the speech was broadcast, all of the Yao realm was moved. In the war there were victories and defeats between Yao and Xiuzhe. But overall, the Xiuzhe had held the upper hand. There were many Yao Jias who had been conquered, but up until now, no one had mentioned recovering these lost territories. The Council of Elders seemed to have forgotten them. Until Ming Yuyi pointed to this scar. For the Yao, the successive losses had been a humiliating and painful memory. Under the strong suppression of the Council of Elders, the full impact of these realities had been forgotten. Soon, the news that the Council of Elders had voluntarily given up these jia from the start, and their strategy of accumulating personal armies to guard their own territories was leaked. The populace was filled with fury. They could not imagine that the great majority of Yao Jia which had fallen had been voluntarily surrendered by the Council of Elders. Even now, the Council of Elders did not proactively try to take back the lost territories. What kind of Council of Elders was this? At a time when many clans had been forced to move due to the calamities of war, these people only wanted to protect their kinsmen, their wealth, and did not care for the life and death of the people that had been conquered. No one could accept this cruel reality. The people used all kinds of methods to express their fury, especially those intermediate and small families. being the first group to be abandoned. They started to move and team up. Almost all of the Yao art houses stopped classes. The young and spirited youths were almost unanimously opposed the Council of Elders. All of the Yao were pulled into an unprecedented whirlpool. Facing all kinds of accusations, the Council of Elders remained oddly silent. All the major families also maintained their silence. The major families were connected intimately with the Council of Elders. They were beneficiaries, so they helped the Council of Elders suppress the chaos occurring locally. A tragedy occurred. At a protest event, the battalion responsible for the local public safety had a conflict with the petitioners. 76 people were killed. When this event occurred, all of the Yao were shocked. Even the slowest person realized that a bigger storm was about to come. When Corps Commander Bing Lan stood up and said the Yao should take back the lost Yao Jia, no matter if it was for the Yao that were living there or to make up for past mistakes, it had to be done. This was the first time the military were expressing their opinion publicly. In reality, the conflict between the military and the Council of Elders had been brewing for a long time. The military had always been discontent with the Council of Elders' conservative and defensive strategy, especially those young battle generals that hoped the Yao could also participate in this fight for the world. The Council of Elders' constant and continuous concessions to the Xuzha made them feel uncomfortable. Soon after Corps Commander Bing Lan spoke out, other corps commanders followed suit and spoke out in support of taking back lost territories. Some battle generals even mocked the Council of Elders for being useless. They thought that Yao battle generals were not any bit inferior to Xuzha battle generals. The Council of Elders were afraid without even fighting. This was distrusting the abilities of the military, and it also showed that the Council of Elders had not adjusted to this era of great change. Past debts and grudges were brought out. The complete annihilation of Ice Frost Corps occurred under Kun Lun's ambush, yet the Council of Elders seemed to have forgotten this. More details were uncovered. The only surviving battle general of Ice Frost Corps, the hero Liang Wei, who had been honored in the past, had been relieved of his duties and sent back home. The reason for this was that Liang Wei had desired to fight and take revenge for Ice Frost Corps. The one who had relieved Liang Wei of his duties was Corps Commander Ensure. Corps Commander Ensure was coincidentally a supporter of the Chief Elder of the Council of Elders. The Council of Elders received another great blow. The words of the military became the catalyst of this storm. The Yao world was about to change. The change among the Yao attracted the gaze of the world. Before this, the Yao had been thought of the most united faction. The Xuzha world had been split into the four-realm heaven, the Mo into even more factions. Only the Yao had the Council of Elders that ruled over vast lands. While many people criticized the Yao for not having any ambitions to improve, no one dared to look at them. The Council of Elders had once been seen as a strong existence that would fight Kunlun and Tian Huan for the world. However, the actions of the Council of Elders had caused people to lower their expectations of the Yao. In terms of Shen power, if it wasn't for Ming Yuyi, no one knew when the Council of Elders would have created the Yao Shen power. When Ming Yuyi found a method to merge Shen power and spiritual consciousness, she unexpectedly resisted opposition on the council and publicized the basic method. Countless clans benefited. This earned Ming Yuyi a great reputation. Supposedly, the chief elder had been shocked and angry at Ming Yuyi's actions. For a long time, Elder Ming Yuyi had been suppressed. The other reason the Council of Elders was not favored was because of battle generals. The Xuzha world was full of battle generals, and the Mo territories did not lack them. For both the Xuzha and the Yao, their top battle generals were very young. However, the Yao were weak in this area. Most of their corps commanders had been promoted based on their experience. It was rare to see young people at the corps commander level. The promotion and use of young battle generals had always been heavily obstructed. An elder Ming Yuyi who liked to use young battle generals received the support of young generation of battle generals. Elder Ming Yuyi daringly promoted Mu Shi to become corps commander, and this filled countless young battle generals with hope. Mu Shi had become the youngest corps commander of the Yao and attracted attention. There was not a lot of conflict over Mu Zai's promotion. Mu Zai's battle with Gongye Xiaorong had increased her fame and propelled her to become one of the top Yao battle generals. In reality, she had become the idol of countless young battle generals. She was the first Yao battle general that had fought with a top Xiuzhe battle general and won. What was interesting was the clan behind Mu Shi. Palace Lakewood clan was not a small clan. This clan had a long history and was famed for being able to make correct choices. Its unexpected support of Ming Yuyi caused her prospects to rise. Yet how could the fraction represented by the chief elder just give up? Conflict started to occur locally. Tragedies started to occur. The leaders of the protesters died quietly in their homes, being assassinated on the street, elders being ambushed. Public safety was continuously worsening. Everyone was in danger. The intelligence on the Yao was the easiest to obtain for Zhuo Mo. Pu Yao's network was unimaginably strong in this area, and all kinds of intelligence gathered like streams into rivers. After Pu Yao's organization of the details, the entire frame of the matter became clear. On the road to Xixian, Zhuo Mo learned everything that was happening to the Yao. This woman is so strong. Zhuo Mo could not help but sigh. He knew from their last meeting that Ming Yuyi was not a friendly person, but seeing her manipulations like this, he could not help but sigh in shock. It was clear that this entire string of events had been orchestrated by Ming Yuyi in secret. Zhuo Mo understood Ming Yuyi's intentions. Ming Yuyi wanted to use this method to break out of the endless stalemate for power. He had seen before that Ming Yuyi's ambitions would not be small. But he hadn't thought that her ambitions were so great. Ming Yuyi clearly was not willing to slowly wait to be handed power. She clearly could not wait, and the reason that she couldn't was because she saw that these next few years were the most crucial time for fighting for the world. If this kept on getting delayed, the Yao would most likely have not much to do with this fight. Kunlun and Tian Huan were becoming stronger by the day, Mo Cloud Sea and Guliang Dao was prospering, the Nether King of the Mo had conquered the entire Nether realm, the Mo Shan Temple was becoming stronger while weaker powers were being constantly destroyed. What was left were the strongest factions. Battle generals were growing and maturing through these battles. This caused Ming Yuyi, who had hopes of vying for the world, to feel great pressure. The old age of their battle generals, the inactivity of the Council of Elders, their attitudes of enjoyment. If everything proceeded normally, she probably would only be able to take power in about a decade. Everyone, including the chief elder, were in unspoken agreement that she was the successor. But she could not wait for so long. Such a vicious, decisive, and ambitious woman. Zhuo Mo knew there would be a great cleansing after a short yet intense full-out battle between the two sides. Such an ambitious woman like Ming Yuyi would not be able to tolerate the existence of a restraint. She had the upper hand now. The majority of the military were on her side, the young people were on her side, morality was on her side, fame was on her side, and the so-called righteousness was on her side as well. After a period of cleansing, the Yao would be greatly impacted, but they would be reborn and become a terrifying opponent. And its leader was such a powerful woman. A thought could not be suppressed from coming out of Zhuo Mo's mind: this woman had to be stopped. If she united the Yao once more. Zhuo Mo saw the similarities to Kunlun on those fanatical Yao, a zealotry similar to Kunlun. The appearance of a new Kunlun, how terrifying would that be? Wait. The appearance of a new Kunlun. A light suddenly flashed through Zhuo Mo's mind. Who was the most afraid of a new Kunlun? Not Mo Cloud Sea, not Tian Huan, it was Kunlun. Kunlun was the most afraid of a fanatical and united a faction like them forming. No one knew better than Kunlun themselves just how terrifying a power like them was. Especially when both sides had large amounts of territory bordering each other. A strong Yao would directly threaten Kunlun. The one that had conquered the majority of Yao territories had been Kunlun. It seemed that he had to find some things for Kunlun to do. Zhuemo knew that right now, all of Kunlun was focusing on this secret battle between Tian Huan and Cloud Moc. Zhuemo felt that Kunlun would be happy to see Tian Huan kill Mo Cloud C. Kunlun, how could he let them just watch from the side? While everyone else was so busy. A devious smirk floated at the corner of Zhuemo's lips. Chapter 817, Zhong Des mad idea soon, all kinds of news about the Yao spread in the Shoujo world. Ming Yuyi was described as the strongest woman in Yao history. Her actions won her countless praises, and she was thought of as the only hope of the Yao prospering again. The power struggle among the Yao immediately became the topic that the people in the Shoujo world discussed over tea. However, for sects like Kunlun, what they saw was not just limited to this. Kunlun had actually received related intelligence long ago. Yet the information they had received before had not been so detailed. At the start, they had thought that this was just a normal power struggle. But as more detailed information appeared, their wariness of Ming Yuyi quickly increased. If Ming Yuyi could truly succeed, then the Yao would become even stronger, and would be a great threat to Kunlun. Once Kunlun realized this, they could not sit still. As the strongest in the world, Kunlun had always thought of the world as their future territory. The Yao ruled by Ming Yuyi was not something that was beneficial for Kunlun. The abilities that Ming Yuyi showed caused Kunlun to believe that if the Yao really came under her leadership, they would quickly transform to become a rival top faction. The present Yao, in Kunlun's eyes, was only a paper tiger. Their threat was smaller than Mo Cloud C. This could be seen from the battalion stationed at the borders. The battalions stationed at the border of the Yao were not elite. But the Yao had such a strong foundation. It had always maintained its method of rule, though the Council of Elders and never had significant infighting. The accumulation and foundations built over thousands of years was astounding. They were not strong now because the higher ranks lacked ambition. Once someone like Ming Yuyi took power, then the power the Yao would display would be terrifying. At that time, the threat that Kunlun needed to face would increase drastically. They could not sit and watch such a thing occur. While the higher-ups in Kunlun concluded this, the information had come so suddenly there definitely had been people manipulation this from the shadows. But even though they knew someone else was behind this, Kunlun had to respond. Of all the factions, the one with the most territory bordering the Yao was Kunlun. This was an open conspiracy. But Kunlun's hand was forced. Small group of Kunlun's elite started to move towards the Yao. At the same time, the secret envoy to meet up with the chief elder also moved. Kunlun decided to give chief elder their support. A divided Yao council that was fighting among themselves was one that Kunlun was happy to see. Zhuemo threw this problem to one side. For him, the state of the world was something for an overlord like Kunlun to think about. The urgent problem was to face Tian Huan's attacks. They disguised themselves, traveling day and night, and finally arrived at Shixian. On the way, Zhuemo had sent a message to Zhongde. Zhuemo finally sighed in relief when he saw Zhongde with his own eyes. Before he reached the other, the enemies still had a chance. Now, unless all of the top experts of Kunlun came, they had no chance to assassinate Zhongde in front of him. When Zhongde saw Zhuemo, he was not surprised. His expression was calm. "I thought that you would arrive soon." Zhuemo was shocked but immediately recovered his calm. "Why has Mr. Zhong refused Tian Huan?" Zhongde did not respond. He suddenly said gravely. "Other than Sherpei, everyone else out." No one in the military council made a sound. They all silently left with solemn expressions. Only a youth next to Zhongde did not move. Zhuemo knew that this person must be the Sherpei that Zhongde mentioned. It seemed that this was the second-in-command of the Abyss Jail Battalion. Zhuemo couldn't resist but examine Sherpei. Shi Pei was not very old, about 28 or so. He was tall, had cold features, and his face was covered in crisscrossing scars. It could be seen that his original appearance had been very handsome. He stood expressionlessly behind Zhongde like a statue. From beginning to end, he did not move. Seeing everyone else leave, Zhongde finally spoke. But when he did, Sui Mo was given a fright. Shi Xian is already beyond cure. Zhongde seemed to be describing something he was not concerned about. His expression did not change at all. Even with 10 more years, Shi Xian cannot be saved. Sui Mo hadn't thought that Zhongde had such a depressing outlook on Shi Xian. He was puzzled. While Shi Xian has many problems, they have the foundation. With time, there may be a chance. No chance. Zhongde shook his head. Shi Xian is rotten to the core. They have been ruined for decades, there is no cure. They had stopped training young talents for a long time. I searched all of Shi Xian and there is none that can be used. To catch up on a few decades is not so simple. If this was a time of peace, and there are no outside threats, 10 years, 20 years, then maybe there would be a chance. Didn't Tian Huan promise 10 years? Sui Mo asked curiously. Zhongde's thoughts were actually not very different from what Sui Mo and the others thought. The training of the younger disciples could not be completed in 1 or 2 years. Without 10 to 20 years, there was no real effect to be seen. Shi Xian's lack of talent was caused because it had not placed importance on training young disciples for the past few decades. A cold sneer appeared on Zhongde's scar-covered face. Would Tian Huan sincerely want Shi Xian to grow strong? In their eyes, Shi Xian is just a great cannon fodder. They will think of all the ways they can for Shi Xian to be first to use up Kunlun's strength. Then they will benefit from standing by the side. The present Tian Huan is much stronger than Shi Xian. Once you are eliminated, Tian Huan will be even stronger. Under Tian Huan's control, Shi Xian doesn't have a chance of fighting back. Sui Mo was not persuaded because the present Shi Xian did not have a chance. In comparison, allying with Tian Huan was more beneficial for Shi Xian. He didn't believe that Zhongde did not see this. But why had Zhongde said so much? Zhongde seemed to know that these words could not persuade Sui Mo. His eyes were half-lidded as he said lightly, I plan to give Shi Xian to Guliang Dao. Sui Mo shook in surprise and then understood. So this was why. All of his confusion was resolved. When he had learned that Zhongde only had 3 years to live, Sui Mo and the others had speculated who Zhongde would choose as the successor. The most likely was the present sect leader of Shi Xian. The present sect leader of Shi Xian wasn't just the legitimate choice, he had also been the one to invite Zhongde to come back into the world. Once Zhongde passed away, if there were no accidents, he would undoubtedly take power again. Sui Mo had once thought that Zhongde would try to find Guliang Dao and he had tried to connect the two. However, Guliang Dao seemed to have completely given up on Shi Xian. He hadn't thought, that even in this situation, Zhongde still planned to give Shi Xian to Guliang Dao. Was Zhongde so disappointed with the sect leader of Shi Xian? The biggest obstacle to Guliang Dao taking Shi Xian was the Shi Xian's traditional faction led by the sect leader. When Zhongde had first came back, he had once made a great cleansing of Shi Xian's ranks. At that time, blood had flowed in rivers. Under the knife, the Shi Xian's traditional faction had suffered great losses and had to bow their heads. They had leaned towards siding with Zhongde, but Zhongde had ignored them, so they had sided with the sect leader of Shi Xian. Only the sect leader speaking up had prevented their deaths. He hadn't thought that Zhongde's butcher knife was only delayed and waiting here. Sui Mo knew that once Zhongde decided to give Shi Xian to Guliang Dao, he would definitely get rid of all obstacles for Guliang Dao. This time, Zhongde would probably remove the sect leader of Shi Xian as well. Big Brother Gu agreed. Sui Mo suppressed his shock and asked. In his view, Big Brother Gu had his own thoughts, and would not be easily persuaded. No. Zhongde was still expressionless. But he will agree. Zhou Mo didn't believe it, but he saw that Zhongde was very certain, as though he had a way to make Gu Yangdao agree. Zhou Mo still didn't quite understand why Zhongde would choose Gu Yangdao. What he needed to consider now was what changes would occur if Shi Xian was given to Gu Yangdao. Open the Jia map, Zhongde suddenly said to Sherpei. Sherpei expressionlessly opened the Jia map of Shi Xian. On the map, a red line separated Shi Xian in two. I plan to give this part to you. Zhongde's words were astounding. Zhou Mo wasn't just stunned but completely speechless. Was something wrong with this guy's head? This area was almost 1/3 of Shi Xian, and contained some important Jia. But after the initial shock, Zhou Mo looked closely. Zhongde might be mad, but he was a person who was very goal-oriented. He seemed mad, but he definitely had his own goals. Eliminating stray thoughts, Zhou Mo saw some things. This area was not small, but they were all areas bordering Tianhuan. Once Zhou Mo took these Jia, then Shi Xian would not be threatened by Tianhuan at all. Their only worry was their border with Kunlun. But after close inspection, Zhou Mo had to sigh at Zhongde's skill. There was a natural defensive Jia at the connection to Kunlun. If there was an elite battalion stationed there, they could block Kunlun with little risk. After cutting off their flesh, Shi Xian would be rid of a great burden. The area they had to defend would shrink greatly, and their resources could be concentrated. And if it really was Gu Yangdao that took power, Zhou Mo believed that Kunlun would not be able to break through Gu Yangdao's defense. This way, Shi Xian's torn-up defense line would immediately become impenetrable, and their pressure would decrease greatly. Zhongde was terrifying. Standing in front of the Jia map, Zhou Mo was motionless and deep in thought. Zhongde closed his eyes in silence. He had to admit that the lure that Zhongde threw out was too tempting. The present Mo Cloud Sea was only 113 IE, and the area that Zhongde had drawn out was 3 times bigger than Mo Cloud Sea. If they could get this area, then the problem of Mo Cloud Sea supply of materials could almost be all resolved by themselves. This vast area contained rich ore mines. If they were developed properly, Mo Cloud Sea's strength would expand. The small size of their territory had become the bottleneck stopping Mo Cloud Sea from going a step further. In these past 6 years, Mo Cloud Sea had secretly trained middle management talent for their expansion strategy. Due to this, there were no problems in terms of manpower. Mo Cloud Sea had the ability to take these Jia in a short time. But after swallowing this fat piece of meat, the drawbacks were also very clear. Once they took over this area, the long border would increase the pressure on Mo Cloud Sea. Right now, Mo Cloud Sea was a hedgehog with almost no weakness. Any person that attacked would leave bloodied. This meant that Mo Cloud Sea only needed to maintain a few elite battalions and not enormous numbers of normal battalions. Such a long border, and it was Tianhuan. This meant that they needed to station large numbers of battalions to deal with the threat of Tianhuan. Zhou Mo's expression shifted and wavered. Chapter 818 Hidden Trump Card Mist Tribe. Ever since Lan returned to the tribe, the Mist people found to their shock that their cultivation speed had suddenly multiplied. In this region of the Mist Sea, there didn't seem to be any beasts that could threaten them. After a transportation formation between the main tribe and the Cloud Island was opened, it was easy to travel outside the Mist Sea. The Mist people gradually stepped out of the Cloud Sea and started to interact with the outside world. The young Mist people entered schools, learning all kinds of interesting knowledge. The great majority of them entered the Battle General School, and the most accomplished among them as Bingyu. Bingyu, who had once cried Mist people tears, had unexpectedly chose the Battle General School. The calm and composed demeanor that defined the Mist people had led her to have outstanding results in the Battle General School. She became one of the top ranked among the young battle generals of Mo Cloud Sea. Gong Sun Cha, who managed the Battle General School, was full of praise for her. Information flowed into this isolated tribe. The Mist Tribe changed constantly. Many of the products of the Mist Tribe were in demand outside. High-grade cloud mist was a good material to make nimbus clouds, and the use of high-grade ice crystals were even more widespread. Only the Mist people had the ability to travel deep into the Cloud Sea to collect these two materials. The Mist Tribe quickly became wealthy, and under Lan's direction, the tribe leader Bing Yao made a trip to the Cloud Island to find Zhuai Mo in hopes that Zhuai Mo could help them forge a batch of Shen equipment suited for the Mist people. They were willing to pay all the expenses. This batch of Shen equipment was called the Mo Mist Shen equipment. The Mist Tribe became even stronger. As their living standards increased, the number of new births among the Mist people increased greatly as well. The prosperity of the tribe caused the leader, Bing Yao's mouth be stretched in a smile every day. A great amount of Lan's power had recovered. As the tribe's lives got better, the tribe's belief in Lan grew even stronger. The resolute belief constantly repaired Lan's damaged body. Lan's body was completely renewed as the bones of the body were healed. The now complete set of bones had become ice crystal-like with a faint blue. If one looked closely, they would find that there were layers of tiny scripts in the light ice crystals. There were thousands of layers of these scripts. Lan had spent a whole 7 years in the deepest part of the Cloud Sea, absorbing countless ice mist crystals to strengthen this body. It was finally finished. Lan was slightly emotional. For totems, time was just a concept, but there was still a sense of urgency for the tribe. The Mist People tribe was not strong. Even though the development of the tribe had been good recently, and they had grown in population, they were still a small tribe. As the totem of the tribe, Lan paid more attention to the outside world more than anyone in the tribe. The tens of thousands of years allowed him to see through the mists. The Mist People tribe was too minuscule, even in Mo Cloud Sea. In the entire world, they were even more insignificant. Lan knew that no other faction would be like Zhuai Mo and give them such good benefits with their power. But if he wanted the tribe to receive more living space, better investment in development, they had to contribute their power to Mo Cloud Sea, and become a more important part of Mo Cloud Sea. It had been Lan's order for Bing Yu to enter the Battle General School. It was a pity that the Mist People were too few in number. Otherwise, they could form a Mist People battalion and fight for Mo Cloud Sea. In this era, there was nothing more valuable than service. However, Lan had started to prepare all this. Once those young Mist People who entered the Battle General Schools grew up, once the tribe had more people, the Mist People would be able to create a Mist People battalion. One day. But until that day, all of the duties of the tribe, all the merit they needed to earn, Lan was the only person who could do it. This was the responsibility that fell on Lan's shoulders as the totem warrior of the tribe. Also, Zhuai Mo and Mo Cloud Sea did not seem to be in a good situation recently. Lan thought about Gong Sun Cha's request. After thinking, he immediately made a decision. A thought covered all of the tribe. A thought spread in ripples. All of the Mist People unconsciously stopped what they were doing. Shock flashed across their faces, and then they unhesitatingly sprinted towards the Shen Temple. Countless figures flashed through the sky. Everyone had grave expressions and were silent. Moments later, everyone in the tribe had gathered outside the Shen Temple. The tribe leader, Bing Yao, stood at the very front with an expression of barely hidden excitement. Open the restricted land. An authoritative and cold voice sounded from inside the Shen Temple into the ears of every Mist person. The Mist People present all shook. Shock and excitement rose on their grave faces. The restricted land. The Mist People's restricted land, a territory they had guarded for more than 10,000 years. It was about to be opened. A blinding blue light suddenly flew out of the Shen Temple and shot towards the restricted land. Moments later, the ground trembled and boomed, the ice mist in the air clinking and rattling. The mist people were prostrated on the ground with devout expressions. Lan floated in the air above the Shin temple. The figure was just a skeleton, but the authoritative presence shrouded the entire region. Countless hair-thin rays of blue light appeared in the restricted land and flew towards Lan in the air. Lan did not look at them and slowly floated down to the ground. The moment that Lan's feet touched the ground, the blue energies wrapped onto the skeletal body. Starting from the feet, something began to take form. Lan did not seem to feel it and slowly stepped forward. With every step, the endless blue energies took form. They formed combat boots, greaves, joints. The blue energy started from the toes, and then pushed up and grew along the armor as it materialized. When Lan walked to the front of the crowd, an exquisite battle armor covered in patterns took form. The battle armor covered all of Lan. The ice-blue battle armor seemed to be made from layers of ice crystals and was so breathtakingly beautiful. What shocked everyone was that the battle armor was slender and curved. It was a female warrior's battle armor. Lan was actually a female totem warrior. The blue energy did not stop and continued to take form above Lan's head. An icy blue and transparent umbrella appeared in Lan's hand. The handle of the umbrella seemed to be carved from ice. The ribs of the umbrella were deep blue. There were 18 ice crystals tied with long blue tassels that dangled from the edge of the umbrella and clinked harmoniously as they swayed. Wearing battle armor, holding an ice umbrella, Lan seemed to have stepped out of a portrait. After sleeping for 10,000 years, you and I are able to once again fighting side by side. The voice spoke from behind the mask. All of the mist people were overcome with excitement. The older mist people cried. Everyone recognized the figure in front of them. That legend that was worshipped in their Shin temple, the tale that was told to every generation of mist people, the legendary guardian protector of the mist tribe, the strongest totem warrior in the mist people tribal's history. No one knew her name, but every mist person could recognize her. Bing Yao's tears streamed down his face. The god of the mist people, you have never abandoned your clan. As though she could hear the shout in Bing Yao's mind, a clear icy voice sounded by everyone's ears as through it came from the ancient era. I, Lan, the totem of mist, worshipped by the mist people for generations, swear if my soul and body is not deceased, will not dishonor the name of totem and protect the mist people. Mo Cloud Sea. Gong Sun Cha walked out of the transportation formation and stepped onto this nondescript cloud island. The cloud island was about 200 mu and was a pitifully small island in Mo Cloud Sea. There were no seal formations or jinji on this little island that was covered in fauna. There was no need for any jinji because living here was a top-level Shin power expert. How come you are here? The old many looked at Gong Sun Cha with surprise and then realized, you encountered trouble. Ever since he was reunited with Ague, he had decided to stay at Mo Cloud Sea. He liked peace, so he found an unpopulated cloud island for himself. Other than going to see Ague occasionally, he spent all of his time on the island. Yes. Gong Sun Cha did not tarry and said briskly. I have come to ask Mr. to fight. Who? The old man's eyes widened. Tian Huan. Gong Sun Cha responded. Oh, I heard you are in a sorry state. I was saying, just letting people beat on you and not retaliating, that's not that boy's style. The old man smacked his lips. Gong Sun Cha had a small smile but did not speak. He could hear the old man's exasperation. Ague was faithfully loyal to Zhua Mo, and no matter how much the old man did not like Zhua Mo, he couldn't do a thing. The old man snorted coldly and showed his missing and yellowed teeth. He said to himself, I need to show the brat what a true Shin power expert is. All of Mo Cloud Sea started to move at high speed. This was the first time Mo Cloud Sea was moving with other factions. Their allies this time was the elite of Guliang Dao's faction led by Xuangyu. Gong Sun Cha had been planning their counterattack on Tian Huan all this time. However, sending a battalion could not change a secret war. Also, They could not rely on guerrilla warfare because Sui Mo had taken too many experts with him. So when Gu Liangdao contacted Gongsun Chao became alert. If Gu Liangdao and Mo Cloud C were allied together, they could deal with the problem of experts. Shuang Yu was a top expert. Adding on the old man, the forces could not be dismissed. But Gongsun Cha did not rashly attack. He knew that there was only one chance for a surprise gambit like this. If they attacked and alerted the enemy, there would not be a chance like this again in the future. He started to design a detailed plan. In order to have greater effect, he used all of Mo Cloud C's intelligence network. In order to increase their military force, Gongsun Cha even sent a request for reinforcement from the Mist People tribe. The good news was that Nan Yu's group had finished their mission and returned. Qinghua Shui and Xie Shan also came out of seclusion almost at the same time. Gongsun Cha sighed in relief. The manpower was enough to support this battle plan. When Lan appeared, Gongsun Cha was also stunned where he stood. Then he was overjoyed and his confidence increased. He had never thought that Lan would participate. Lan's attention-catching actions caused Gongsun Cha to immediately know her strength, a top Shen power expert. Shuang Yu, who had secretly traveled to Mo Cloud C, was left mouth gaped with eyes wide. Mo Cloud C had a hidden top-level Shen power expert. The familiar vibrations from Lan's ice blue battle armor caused Shuang Yu to realize this was a Shen device raiment. Mo Cloud C had a secret top-level Shen power expert with a Shen device raiment. For the first time, Shuang Yu had the feeling that Mo Cloud C was unfathomable. Then, Shuang Yu believed that their mission this time would succeed. Even they hadn't known that Mo Cloud C had hidden such a trump card. Tian Huan was going to be out of luck. Chapter 819, Struggles. Mo stared at the Jia map in front of him with bloodshot eyes. He had been staring motionlessly at the Jia map for almost 6 hours. Shi Xian was a little over 800 Jia and 1/3 of that was 200 and almost 300 Jia. How big was Mo Cloud C? 113 Jia. If they could take down all this, Mo Cloud C could expand to almost 400 Jia. This number was about to almost 2/3 of the 9 Great Diana Sect's total territories. But that long and tattered border would cause Mo Cloud C's defense to become a big problem. Zhongde was slightly surprised. He had originally thought that when something so great and free was handed to him, Sui Mo would excitedly agree without hesitation. He hadn't thought that while Sui Mo was excited, he did not immediately agree. A territory of almost 300 Jia, yet someone would hesitate for 6 hours. Zhongde re-evaluated Sui Mo. He had not underestimated Mo Cloud C, he actually had a high opinion of Mo Cloud C. Mo Cloud C was the ally that Zhongde chose for Gu Liangdao. Putting aside Gu Liangdao's good friendship with Sui Mo, Mo Cloud C's strength was what he thought highly of. He had other deeper considerations for giving almost 1/3 of Shi Xian to Mo Cloud C. Mo Cloud C was stronger than Gu Liangdao, much stronger. The two would be neighbors. If they were to be allies, they needed to be of similar strength. However, Mo Cloud C had a firmer foundation. Once they digested the 300 Jia, they would become even stronger. A Mo Cloud C that was too strong was not beneficial for a developing Shi Xian. In Zhongde's view, Gu Liangdao was strong, but he clearly was not at the same level as Sui Mo. This could be seen from the comparison of the two's forces. Of Gu Liangdao's force, other than himself, only Shuang Yu and Xiao were acceptable. They lacked talents. But Mo Cloud C, Wei Sheng, Gongsun Cha, Bi Han, Zhong Ru, a list of names that could blind and awe people. Even someone with such a resolute mind as Zhongde was not willing to become enemies against them. The long border would drag Mo Cloud C into a tedious and difficult struggle with Tian Huan and slow Mo Cloud C's development. Only when the two sides were in balance could a long-lasting alliance form. 10 years. Zhongde estimated that Shi Xian would need 10 years under Gu Yongdao in order to recover. If there was not a titan like Tian Huan, Zhongde thought that Mo Cloud Sea would only need 5 years to become a new titan of the same level as Kunlun and Tian Huan. Zhongde felt that he had not underestimated Zhuo Mo, but at this time, he found that he had still underestimated Zhuo Mo's foresight. The guy who was said to be peerlessly greedy and only thought of profit was able to maintain his calm in the face of almost 300 jie. Such a terrifying person. Zhongde suddenly suspected whether or not his decision was correct. Could Gu Yongdao really fight against such a monster? Could he really fight against such a monstrous faction? But then he grimaced. Other than Gu Yongdao, he did not have a better choice. Gu Yongdao was the most outstanding young person from Shi Xian's lineage. He understood the present sect leader. If he gave Shi Xian to the sect leader, the end of the 10-year agreement would be the time that Shi Xian would die. Zhongde's heart was like rock. After wavering slightly, he recovered. A pair of eyes that flashed with excitement and madness entered his field of view. His heart suddenly shuddered, but his expression did not change. What have you decided? Zhuo looked closely at Zhongde's eyes and said in a deep voice, I also want this piece. His finger flicked and a curving streak of light appeared on the Jie map. A region about 30 Jie was outlined at the lower right corner of the area that Zhongde had proposed. Zhongde's pupils suddenly contracted. After Zhongde came out of his seclusion, he had studied repeatedly. As the second-ranking battle general of the 10 top battle generals, Zhongde was bloodthirsty and savage, but he was unusually wary in his attitude towards war. No one knew how many times he had studied this Jie map. Every detail of this Jie map had been imprinted into his mind long ago. Without any effort, it could be redrawn completely in his mind. This area where Tian Huan and Shi Xian borders were shared was a long and flat wedge between Shi Xian and the 9 great Dhyana sects. It was a complex place where 3 factions intersected. Back in the time when Xian Kong Temple existed, the 3 factions had been restrained by the balance between the 3 forces. That area had become an area that none of the 3 factions could dominate. Due to this, large numbers of small but complex factions existed there. The fall of Xian Kong Temple and the rise of the 9 great Dhyana sect caused them to quickly consume these little factions to form this strange area. On the 30 Jie that Zhuo Mo drew included the area where Shi Xian and the 9 great Dhyana sects shared borders. If Zhongde still did not know Zhuo Mo's intentions now, then his reputation as the second-best battle general was false. 9 great Dhyana sects. Mo Cloud Sea had a close relationship with the 9 great Dhyana sects, closer than expected. Zhongde sighed inside. He knew that his intentions of using Tian Huan to restrain Mo Cloud Sea had failed. Zhuo Mo's intentions in demanding these 30 Jie were clear. The territory connected to the 9 great Dhyana sects, and he would open a passage between Cloud Mo Sea and the 9 great Dhyana sections. This way, Tian Huan's wedge territory would be facing enemies on 2 fronts. Mo Cloud Sea's battalions could attack by traveling through the territory of the 9 great sects and easily detour behind Tian Huan to attack. Mo Cloud Sea that possessed Gongsun Cha and Bihan could easily cleave this wedge-shaped territory from Tian Huan's flesh and bring it under Mo Cloud Sea's control. The border between Mo Cloud Sea and Tian Huan would drastically shorten. Zhongde was now in a dilemma. With Mo Cloud Sea's strength, the possibility they would succeed was a high. That way, rather than restraining Mo Cloud Sea, it was giving Mo Cloud Sea a great opportunity. But without Mo Cloud Sea, Gu Yongdao who took over Shi Xian would not be able to survive. He only had 2 years left. After 2 years, Shi Xian would only have 1 top battle general left, Gu Yongdao. In Zhongde's view, Gu Yongdao had good skill but he was too honest, and was not intimidating enough. Zhongde was able to protect Shi Xian by himself. No one dared to invade. Even Kunlun and Tian Huan did not dare to easily start a war. This was because he was ruthless and bloodthirsty. There was only one result of fighting against him, blood flowing in rivers. In this time where multiple factions were facing off, no one dared to be damaged so much. What is your decision? Zhuo Mo's tone was just like Zhong De's had been previously. Zhong De knew that the other saw through his intentions. However, he did not care. Power struggles would always exist between factions and had nothing to do with friendships. He was a decisive person and said, "Then I'll give you this region as well." His finger swiped, and he drew out another 20 jia at the border of the 30 jia that Zhuo Mo had just circled. Allying with Mo Cloud Sea was an essential condition to the survival of Shi Xian. Zhong De did not have a choice, his hand was forced in the matter. Zhuo Mo looked for a while and saw some things. Zhong De seemed to have casually picked out 20 jia. He seemed to have lost a big part of territory for nothing, but in truth, he had drastically decreased the border between Shi Xian and Mo Cloud Sea. Zhuo Mo was full of admiration towards Zhong De. As expected of the second-best battle general, Zhong De was so calm to the point of cruelty. He did not linger or hesitate over territory. He did not care for reputation or tradition. For his strategic aims, he could give up everything else. Such a terrifying person. But these 20 jia were free for Mo Cloud Sea. Zhuo Mo knew that Zhong De was near the end of his life and knew that Zhong De was also making a path for Guliang Dao. Zhuo Mo did not worry about Guliang Dao's Shi Xian. This had nothing to do with friendship, it was a judgment of the situation. The reason that Zhong De was so generous was because he knew Guliang Dao would not be able to protect an enormous Shi Xian alone. Actually, Zhuo Mo was slightly worried. Even the smaller Shi Xian was more than 500 jia. All of 9 Great Diana sects was just a little more than 600 jia. Looking at the present situation Yang Yuan Hao was in would show just how hard it was to manage such a large territory. Guliang Dao's path was harder than his own. Agreed. Zhuo Mo said solemnly. He was full of spirit. Mo Cloud Sea's era of being in its turtle shell was about to finally finish. Good. Zhong De nodded expressionlessly. He then said, Tianhuan's people have arrived. Zhuo Mo's attention was immediately moved. Zhong De was the crux of everything. For Shi Xian. For Mo Cloud Sea. His safety the most important. They came slightly earlier than you. Li Xian Air was escorted to the Abyss Fiend jail. A hint of coldness flashed through Zhong De's eyes. Let's go see Tianhuan's future. Finishing, he walked outside. Zhuo Mo was lightly shocked. He knew Li Xian Air's status in Tianhuan. He asked in puzzlement. Why would Tianhuan send Li Xian Air? Hostage. Zhong De said coldly. Otherwise, the sect leader would not dare to act out this plan. The sect leader is too stupid. I've guarded the Abyss Fiend jail for decades, how can I not have any safeguards? Tianhuan came carefully and my people did not detect them. The sect leader was in too much of a hurry to send Li Xian Air to the Abyss Fiend jail. Zhuo Mo heard that while Zhong De said, sect leader, there was no respect in his tone. He is devious and has great patience, Zhong De said coolly, but is not decisive or confident enough. His desire for power is too great. Zhuo Mo was filled with curiosity but he did not want to be dragged into Shi Xian's matters. He perceptively did not ask. The group followed Zhong De towards the Abyss Fiend jail. In order not to attract attention, they did not fly, but walked along the walls. Suddenly, Wei Xing stopped walking and his gaze focused. Zhuo Mo motioned for everyone to stop. Zhuo Mo and the others were in sync and spread out, ready to fight. Shi Pei next to Zhong De stepped forward to protect him. The other guards were on their guard. Wei Xing's expression was at ease and unaffected. The god-killing blood sword slowly rose. Everywhere Wei Xing passed, there seemed to be a black and bottomless abyss. Wei Xing's eyes became like bloody glass, but his expression did not change. Kill! A thunderous shout and the rock wall in front of them suddenly shattered and rained down on them. Wei Xing's sword drew out. A blood-red sword energy entered the shattered energies. The sword energy that entered the shattered stone seemed to be hit by something incoming and suddenly gave off bright white light. The blinding light immediately consumed the group. Everyone's sight became filled with white. They could not see a thing, and the surrounding presences were in chaos. Sharp murderousness filled the air. Suemo didn't know what this white light was. Under the white light, he could not see a thing. What was strangest was the white light could disrupt the consciousness. Suemo's consciousness that was spread out was crushed by the light. The enemy did not seem to be affected. 8 different murderous presences locked onto him and caused his skin to tremble. Yet Suemo reacted quickly and his expression changed. Fishing in muddy waters. The other's target was Zhongde. Damn it! At this time, a muffled grunt came from the white light. Suemo's heart suddenly sank. It was Sherpei. Chapter 820, Trap. A layer of complex shadowed scripts appeared over Mi Wu's eyes. The strong white light was filtered by the shadow script, protecting his eyes. He could clearly see every detail. Mi Wu of the Mi family was the most talented member of his generation. He had talent that was to be admired, and he did not waste his talent. From childhood, he worked hard. As one of the great families of Tianhuan, the Mi family naturally raised him in a good environment. The Mi family was overjoyed to have produced such a genius. Even the top battle general of Tianhuan, Mi Nan, paid attention to him. The Mi family's teachings, his own hard work, and outstanding talent combined to create a stunningly skilled youth. Of the top experts in Tianhuan, the most famous were the 4 seats and the 12 rings. The 4 seats were the first 4 disciples of Tianhuan: Li Xian'er, Mi Wu, Sang Dong, Jin Shaoyi. Under every seat were 3 ring masters. Each ring master controlled an elite force. The 4 seats and the 12 rings represented the highest combat force of Tianhuan, especially the 4-seated disciples. These 4 seats were the genius youths that Tianhuan had trained over the past few years. They were even stronger than the elders of the previous generation. If Chief Elder was said to be a supreme existence in Tianhuan, then the 4 seats ranked just below the sect leader, Mi Nan, and Mu Shuang. Li Xian'er would become the future sect leader, and the other 3 members would become prominent elders of Tianhuan. Mi Wu's fighting method was unpredictable like his name, like the ancient shamans. He had a quiet and thoughtful personality. While he was from a prestigious clan, he did not have excessive pride. His pure white robe was untouched by dust. The blinding white light was Tianhuan's secret, silver light flashbang. It did not have any offensive power, but it could blind people with its almost unimaginable brightness. Even if one had Shen power, they would not be able to avoid its effects. The most terrifying effect was that it could cause all of the energies in the area to become chaotic. The seal scripts on Mi Wu's eyes allowed him to avoid the effects the silver light. Zhongde. Mi Wu's pupils contracted slightly as he cast the Shen methodology. The Shen glyph on his hand lit up slightly. Suddenly, the Shen glyph on his palm seemed to come alive. It became 3-dimensional and spun. 6 imperceptible lights suddenly flew out of the energetically spinning Shen glyphs. They were like 6 nimble snakes that silently flew towards Zhongde. Mi Wu had absolute confidence in this mission because all of Tianhuan put great importance on this mission. 3 of the 4 seats had come. Other than Li Xian'er who had come to be the hostage, there was Mi Wu and Jin Shaoyi. Other than this, there were also other experts, and 4 ring masters. The composition of their team was so grand that Mi Wu felt there was no reason they would not succeed. Jin Shaoyi's Shen glyph flowed. Little arrows floated in a dense group next to him. Every little arrow was made from shin-glyphs was astounding in power. These little arrows vibrated minutely and murderousness filled the battlefield. Everyone's attention was attracted by these murderous little arrows. Zhongde did not have any strong experts with him. There were no experts of their level in Shixian. If they could find Zhongde, and avoid the defense of the battalion, the possibility they would succeed was high. Creating chaos, Jin Xiaoyu and the other people would attract the attention of the enemy and Mi Wu would deliver the fatal blow. This was their strategy. Shi Pei's expression changed dramatically. He advanced rather than retreating, a ball of bloody energy forming in his hand that he threw forward. A shin-glyph hit the bloody energy. The shin-glyph suddenly lit up with a strange light. In a blink, the blood energy was completely absorbed. The shin-glyph turned into an eerie bloody glyph. It trembled and then continued to shoot at Zhongde. Shi Pei grunted and flew out as though he had been hit with a hammer. Mi Wu was unaffected. The other was just a battle general and was insignificant compared to a top expert like him. The 6 shin-glyph snakes were locked onto Zhongde. Without any more obstacles, they shot in front of Zhongde. Mi Wu's heart finally stirred. Zhongde was going to die. Just as he thought Zhongde would die to the 6 shin-glyph snakes, a withered hand appeared without warning in front of Zhongde. A thin Diana Xiao with closed eyes appeared in front of Zhongde out of thin air. His withered hand was like a fragile flower. Impossible. Mi Wu's eyes widened as he looked in disbelief at the scene occurring in front of him. No one could see under the silver light flashbang. Even they themselves were helpless if they did not prepare beforehand. Even Diana Xiao could not do it. The consciousness was useless. Who was this person? Mi Wu's heart suddenly sank. How could there be such a strong expert around Zhongde? Their intelligence was faulty. The hand formed a seal and 6 grey sutra characters flew out of Zone Ru's hands to face the 6 shin-glyph snakes. Snap! The sutra characters encountered the shin-glyph snakes and exploded like smoke. The grey mist shrouded the shin-glyph snakes. The shin-glyph snakes were covered in a layer of grey. Mi Wu's expression changed slightly. Wish power. Such strong wish power. The left half of his body started to feel slightly numb. An ugly grey mark appeared on his left shoulder. Was this a survivor of Xian Kong Temple? The 9 great Diana sects did not have such a strong Diana Xiao. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. He did not dare to slack off. The shin-glyph in his hand spinning urgently as his shin power surged. Pew! His left shoulder suddenly exploded, and the grey mark was destroyed. The terrifying feeling of numbness finally disappeared. All this happened in flash, yet the amount of shin power used surpassed his predictions. Mi Wu's expression became grave. He could detect that the other was just as strong as any of the 3 ring masters under his command. Adding on the unpredictable and eerie shin power, this was a troublesome person. However, the other was delusional to think that they could stop him with just this strength. Mi Wu brimmed with murderousness. But when his gaze focused on a 3-flanged Diana staff on the other's hand which had suddenly appeared, his expression froze on his face. This vibration. Shin device. Jin Xiaoyu was acting as planned. Every little arrow was vibrating violently as though they were hungry and hornets waiting to move and consume. The sword essence just now made him feel a sliver of fear, but he quickly recovered. He was just slightly puzzled. Did Zhongde have someone powerful hidden away? But he knew his duty. What he needed to do was distract the attention of the enemy and create chances for Mi Wu. He was very successful. He was so successful that he poked the hornet's nest. Zhuemo and the others who had been blinded due to the silver light flashbang, suddenly felt ferocious murderousness. Without even thinking, they threw out attacks in the direction of the source. Zhuemo's hand swiped and the sun axe appeared in his hand. He ignored the white nothingness he saw and threw in the direction of the murderousness with a loud shout. Almost at the same time, Wei Sheng and Luo Li attacked. Jin Xiaoyu felt a great sense of danger. He paled and didn't dare to think carefully. The little arrows around him rained on the group. He did not look at his results. He put all his power into retreating. Boom! An enormous explosion sounded behind him, and then a wave of air as tangible as a wall hit his body. He reacted quickly. Shen glyphs lit up over his body. He was like an untethered dry leaf that was thrown outwards with the wave of air. Inside, Jin Xiaoyu's mind was in uproar, his limbs cold. If he hadn't escaped quickly from the attack just now. Ambush. This was an ambush. He was in the air at present and could see the scene under him. His heart continued to sink. The four ring masters were also engaged. One was fighting with a bird, another with a dark gold mo puppet. The third had an even stranger opponent. It was a little person dressed in black that was smaller than a hand. But the one that was in the worst state had a female opponent. This female's figure was unpredictable and ethereal. She did not give any signs of attack, and completely dominated this ring master. Jin Xiaoyu almost didn't believe his eyes. How could so many experts pop up? What group of freaks was this? If he had just a guess before this, he was sure now that this was a planned-out trap. When he saw the appearances of Zhua Mo and Wei Sheng, his face paled. Mo Cloud Sea. No wonder there were so many experts. It was Mo Cloud Sea. Jin Xiaoyu was decisive. The Shen glyph at his forehead flashed and his panicked voice sounded in everyone else's minds at the same time. Retreat. It is Mo Cloud Sea. This is a trap. Everyone's expression immediately changed. Mo Cloud Sea. Ever since Tian Huan targeted as Mo Cloud Sea, as their greatest enemy, their spying of Mo Cloud Sea. They gradually learned the power of Mo Cloud Sea. If one had to say what part of Mo Cloud Sea gave the strongest impression, it was not forging, not wealth, not their turtle-like Jinji, but that list of names that could not be dismissed. That list was one that even a titan like Tian Huan was jealous of. They had so much talent that it was incomprehensible. That tiny place had so many strong people. It was a gathering of monsters. When Mi Wu heard Jin Xiaoyu's shout in his mind, he finally remembered who this emaciated Diana Xiu was. Zhong Ru. The strongest Diana Xiu of Mo Cloud Sea, the one who caused an apparition to appear when he came out of seclusion, Zhong Ru. No one knew how strong Zhong Ru was. Mi Wu now had some understanding after the fight today. Zhong Ru should be stronger than the ring masters but a step below the four seats. However, Mi Wu stared at the three manifestation treasure staff in Zhong Ru's hand with red eyes. When was a child of the Mi family ever jealous of other people's equipment because it was better than theirs? Born in luxury, for the first time, Mi Wu felt he was poor. He could clearly feel the power of this Diana staff. Even if it was not a Shen device, it was not far off. Mi Wu's heart bled. He was furious and sad. Zhong Ru was not among the top-ranked experts of Mo Cloud Sea, yet even he could have a Diana staff of this level. Was Mo Cloud Sea rich to such a level? With the three manifestation treasure staff, Zhong Ru's strength was increased greatly. The difference between the two smaller. With the staff, Zhong Ru was able to keep him engaged, unable to retreat. Heart dripping blood, Mi Wu took a deep look at Zhong Ru. The Shen glyph on his body flashed and he disappeared. Jin Xiaoyu and Mi Wu's thoughts of retreating were correct. But sometimes, knowing the right action was not enough. Chapter 821, Unexpected. Mi Wu and Jin Xiaoyu were a level stronger than the others and immediately retreated, but the four ring masters that had come along were not so lucky. Wu Zhen was one of the ring masters under Mi Wu's command. He had a firm foundation, was both skilled and experienced in battle. He never feared a hard fight. He was just slightly weaker than Mi Wu. Expecting a hard battle, Mi Wu had taken him along this time. From the start of the fight, they had the initiative on the battlefield. Everything had gone smoothly according to plan. If the enemy was not prepared, a strange things like the silver light flashbang made it likely they had a 1 in 2 chance of success on the first strike. Wu Zhen had sneaked towards someone near Zhongde. He could see that this person was of high status. In the white-silver light, he moved closer like a ghost. The other was about to enter his attack range. If he went a bit closer, he could strike for the kill. At this time, he had a feeling and he unconsciously flashed to the side. Hiss! A streak of fire brushed past his body. Wu Zhen's heart jumped. Did the enemy have people that were not affected by the silver light flashbang? Before he could think, another dot of fire lit up. Wu Zhen did not retreat at this time. Shen glyphs appeared on his hand, and he pointed fearlessly at the streak of fire. Boom! He felt a burning flame burrow into his body through his finger. Hiss! He inhaled sharply. The Shen glyph lit up, and his Shen power expanded dramatically to force this fire out of his body. Then he finally saw the attacker. The ambusher was a bird. Wu Zhen's finger had contained the power of Tian Huan's Shen glyph. Silly Bird was also affected and took a few steps back. These steps looked normal but infuriated the usually proud Silly Bird. When had Bird Jia ever been defeated like this? She spread her wings as though she was about to take off. With a bright crow, bright red flames were sprouted from her mouth. Wu Zhen instinctively felt the danger of the flames. He ignored everything else and retreated. Silly Bird's wings flapped even faster. The flames seemed to leapt towards Wu Zhen as though it was alive. The flames were extremely quick and drew out a blinding streak of fire in the air and caught up with Wu Zhen in a flash. Wu Zhen took a deep breath. The Shen glyph appeared. His hand raised and sliced down suddenly like a knife. The fire line that was flying towards him was cut in two and flew past him on both sides of his body. Wu Zhen's worries eased slightly. He didn't know what kind of Yao beast was this strange bird for it to be so strong. Then, in his peripheral vision he saw that the two lines of flame suddenly arc in two curves and form a circle. This was... Wu Zhen was startled. Before he could react, his body suddenly froze. He was trapped in a strange force field. This fire was strange. Wu Zhen's heart continued to sink. At this time, the shouts of Mi Wu Darren came from his mind. Retreat! This is Mo Cloud Sea. This is a trap. Wu Zhen could not maintain his calm and changed expression. The white light dissipated, and Zhuomo's vision returned to normal. But Zhuomo had never suffered a great loss. Looking at the figures that were growing further away, his heart burned with fire. Snap! Lil Pagoda appeared in Zhuomo's hand. The blinding golden sun Shen power covered Zhuomo and Lil Pagoda's Zhuomo breathed and his power surged. He seemed to be swinging an axe heavier than himself and his entire body was swung up. Exhaling, he used all of his strength and threw the chubby Lil Pagoda into the air. Good son. Your turn. Covered in golden light, Lil Pagoda was like a blinding golden meteor that roared as it flashed towards the fleeing people like lightning. Ah. Covered in sun Shen power, Lil Pagoda appeared mighty as its top pointed forward. Its chubby eaves were tightly pressed to its body as it produced incomprehensible sounds. Zhuomo's throw was so powerful it was almost unimaginable. One could not forget that he had cultivated the great Daimo physique in the past, and the results of ancient Shen power on refining the power was even more outstanding. Wu Ru heard the sharp howl coming behind him and was astounded. He was a ringmaster under Jin Xiaoyu. He was a clever person, so when he received Mi Wu Darren's order, he did not hesitate before moving out. While he was slightly disheveled, he was not wounded. He was slightly reassured. When he heard the sound of something splitting the air behind him, He turned his head and saw a bright ray of light flying towards him. So fast. His pupils suddenly contracted. In a blink, the golden light came close to him and there was no time for him to dodge. He snorted coldly. He raised his right arm lightning fast. Threads of shin-glyphs lit up and covered his right arm. That ball of golden light grew closer and Wu Ru finally saw what was covered by the golden light. He couldn't help but freeze slightly. What was that? However, he reacted quickly. With a shout, he punched towards the ball of light. Boom! A fist energy that was formed from Shin power left his hand and headed for the ball of light. Just as the two were about to collide, Li Pagoda suddenly somersaulted. The ball of light made a strange change in direction and dodged the fist energy. Pagoda back throw skill. An even stranger event occurred. With this somersault, Lil Pagoda threw out all of the golden light that covered its body. The golden light that was cast out turned into a sun shin axe. The sun shin axe flew towards Wu Ru's face. Wu Ru's expression changed. He could not do anything except unconsciously use his right arm to protect his face. Boom! The shin glyphs on his right flashed as his arm flew into the air with a spray of blood. Wu Ru flew backwards as though he had been struck by a heavy mallet. It was a pity that he could not see Lil Pagoda swelling up like a balloon, its two small eyes almost disappearing due to the swollen flesh. Whoosh! Mist rushed out of Lil Pagoda's mouth like a herd of horses. No one could imagine such a great tide flood forth like water from an enormous dam from such a small body. In a blink, the surroundings became a sea of mist. Not just Wu Ru, even Jin Xiaoyu who was close was swallowed by the mist that surged out. With this, Lil Pagoda spat out all of the mist it had consumed in the mist hall. When he threw Lil Pagoda out, Zhuemo had summoned the ghost mist child. In the area covered by the ghost mist child was king. The ghost mist child waved his hand. The mist sea suddenly flew towards Zhuemo carrying Wu Ru and Jin Xiaoyu. The ghost mist child who had wanted to give a good display felt heated at such a good opportunity. His figure changed and an ancient mist giant the size of a mountain appeared in people's views. Mortals! Tremble! The thunderous bellow of the mist giant caused people to shake. In this moment, even Zhong Des, usually expressionless, face twitched when he raised his head to see the astounding big body of the mist giant. What kind of monsters did this guy raise? Jin Xiaoyu recognized the danger and didn't dare to hesitate. With a muffled grunt, a shin glyph at his chest split. Furious shin power filled his body. His six senses immediately multiplied in sensitivity. He immediately found the heavily wounded Wu Ru. Hiss! His body disappeared and he appeared almost at the same time next to Wu Ru. He grabbed the nearly unconscious Wu Ru and with a few flashes, he disappeared. The mist giant that was waiting to attack froze where he stood. The cooked chicken flew away. Zhuemo and the others prepared to give chase when Zhongde suddenly shouted, "Quick, to the Abyss Fiend jail." Zhuemo's mind immediately became clear and he shouted, "Ague, come with me. Everyone else, protect General Zhong. Silly bird, do not let them escape." Then he grabbed Shirpei, "You, lead the way." Shirpei seemed to be made from the same mold as Zhongde. Even while wounded, he was still expressionless. He pointed towards a direction and said, "There." Zhuemo and Ague rose into the air and flew at full speed in the direction Shirpei pointed in. If they could capture Li Xian Air, they would have an absolute advantage. Zhuemo's despondency was swept away and he was full of spirit. Li Xian Air sat and curiously examined the surroundings. So this is the famed Abyss Fiend jail. Ban Xia did not dare to underestimate this fragile-looking female. If the Abyss Fiend jail did not suppress power, the other would be able to kill him with a finger. Li Xian Air did not seem to be worried for her own safety and was curiously and idly examining the surroundings. The Abyss Fiend Jail was a restricted land of Shixian and rarely known to outsiders. Even the great majority of normal disciples in Shixian had not heard of it. It was a great opportunity to come to the restricted land of Shixian and personally study it. Li Xian knew a bit about the Abyss Fiend Jail. When Shixian found this place, it was filled with dangerous fiend souls. However, because the position of the Central Plains were too good, the Shixian of the past decided to set up their sect here. This dangerous deep abyss was changed into a jail to imprison their powerful enemies. In the Abyss Fiend Jail, any person's power would be suppressed to a very low level. The place was filled with Jinji and could not be avoided. Even so, because this was an important area of the sect, no one dared to slack off. The Abyss Fiend Jail still had a battalion stationed there. The battalion that was stationed at the Abyss Fiend Jail were comprised mostly of criminals. They needed to destroy their cultivation and then enter the abyss before starting cultivation from the beginning. Because this place was filled with extremely dense fiend wind, they need to absorb the fiend zephyr into their body and turn it into their power. This meant that they would not be suppressed by the fiend wind. Red fiend zephyr floated in the wind. These zephyrs were extremely dangerous like poison. However, Ban Xia had prepared. He had consumed the special Lingdan. As to Li Xian, that wasn't for him to worry about. These red fiend zephyrs shot into the air from the unfathomable abyss. From far away, it looked like a red waterfall flowing in reverse. Of the fiend zephyrs that charged out of the abyss, there would occasionally be one or two immature fiend souls that came out. When these fiend souls came out, they would be crushed by the Jinji. Li Xian imperceptibly frowned. These fiend souls were too weak and this was why the Jinji were able to destroy them. She had a great understanding of formations and she could see with a glance that these seal formations were not just limited in power, they were old and lacked maintenance. The power they had was not great. She stayed there silently and waited for the mission to start. Suddenly, the Shen glyph at her forehead lit up and Mi Wu's urgent voice suddenly sounded. Xian, run. It's a trap. Li Xian's eyes suddenly opened. Ban Xia detected this and hurriedly opened his eyes. What is it? Miss Li. Li Xian did not seem to hear him. A Shen glyph suddenly lit up inside her body. A vast presence surged like an unsealed ocean. She had activated the Jinji that Chief Elder had set in her body personally. Li Xian was the future sect leader of Tianhuan. For safety, the Chief Elder had placed protective Jinji in her body and also told her the Shen methodology to activate them. This was adding a lifeline for her. The fiend zephyrs in the surroundings were pushed aside by an invisible force. The hampered Shen power started to flow, and the familiar power came back inside her body. Looking at Ban Xiao in front of her, a hint of murderousness flashed through Li Xian's eyes. The Shen glyph flashed. A bloody hole suddenly appeared at Ban Xiao's forehead. Ban Xiao's terrified and puzzled expression froze on his face. Before he could make a sound, he fell over face first. Hey, again. Funny to see you here. A familiar voice came from the exit. When she saw the incomer, Li Xian's pupils suddenly contracted. Suimo. Chapter 822, Ming Yuyi on the mountain peak. Gu Yongdao sat alone as he stared dazedly in the distance. What are you thinking? A voice came from behind him. Xiao walked over, concern in his calm eyes. He knew just how difficult this decision was for Gu Yongdao. I don't know. Gu Yongdao shook his head, his voice hoarse. Xiao, what do you think? No matter what you choose, Xiao calmly shrugged, even if you want to destroy Shixian, I will not object, as long as you are happy. Gu Yongdao's eyes recovered some spirit and he laughed. Why would I destroy Shixian? Then taking over Shixian is a normal thing to do. Xiao said with a relaxed expression. Do not put too much pressure on yourself, you are not the savior. Shi Xian is fated to die, even if you promise Zhongde. In time, there will be no Shi Xian left, only Gu Liangdao. Gu Liangdao's expression eased slightly. His expression was filled with puzzlement. Why would Zhongde choose me? I don't know. Xiao spread his hand and said helplessly, you know, as one of the lowest-ranked accountants in Shi Xian before, completely ignorant about high-level secrets. Gu Liangdao was amused and laughed. Moments later, he calmed down and his spirit had recovered. I have already talked with Shuangyu. He is in Mo Cloud Sea. He said that Lil Miss is about to do something big. Mo Cloud Sea is not someone that would swallow and bear it. Xiao said with a smile, none of them have a good temper. Oh, what did Shuangyu say about the offer? The same as you. Gu Liangdao smiled, a hint of warmth flickering in his eyes. That's what it should be. Xiao said as a matter of fact. We were minor characters in the past, what does Shi Xian have to do with us? Why are you thinking so much? He wants to give it to you, if you want it then take it. If you don't, just refuse. Do you also want to vie for the world? Vie for the world? Gu Liangdao was silent for a moment before laughing. I do not have this ability. My wish is to not fail the brothers that followed me. Everyone knows this. Xiao comforted Gu Liangdao. Everyone's families have been brought over. We owe Zhongde for that. If you do not want to accept, we can think of another way to pay back Zhongde. Zhongde's plan is to give a third of the territory, the area near Tianhuan to Brothers Hua for them to block Tianhuan for us. Gu Liangdao's expression became solemn. And there will be about 500 jia that will be given to us. He will help cleanse them. 500 jia. Xiao inhaled sharply, and his expression became grave. Would we be able to take it? Gu Liangdao looked at Xiao. Xiao was his chief steward, and no one knew their wealth better than he did. No. Xiao shook his head and showed a grimace. Our foundations are too shallow and we lack personnel. Xiao counted on his fingers. We know the state of Shi Xian. The management at all levels are basically controlled by those families. Zhongde will definitely eliminate these people. We can promote some people from below, but Shi Xian has rotted for so many years. It is not so easy to set up the infrastructure again, Xiao sighed lightly. I really admire little Mo Gu right now. He started preparing for expansion a few years ago. While there isn't any special talents in their ranks, they have a large group of intermediate ranks that will be useful now. That is a group of monsters. Gu Liangdao also grimaced. He turned and asked, how many jia can we accept at maximum? Just by ourselves, 150 jia. Xiao gave a specific number. This is only because Big Brother still has a high reputation in Shi Xian and can pull over many people. However, if we add Zhongde's support, we might be able to do it, but this will leave behind a great weakness. Gu Liangdao grimaced, but his eyes lit up with spirit. Due to Kunlun's interference, the inner conflict of the Yao became even more intense. From the surface, there were no differences in strength between the two sides. Most of the experts that Ming Yuyi had were the Shen power experts of the new generation. She also controlled the core secrets of the Yao Shen power. Many people also forgot that she also controlled the Genius Alliance, this association that did not seem to be of any actual use in the eyes of the higher ranks. She controlled the strongest Yao Shen methodology and had a large group of talented youths under her. She had managed the Genius Alliance until it was impenetrable. And her motivated philosophy was accepted widely by young people. After focused attention over 7 years, Ming Yuye's strength had quickly expanded. Just like the Mo had a hard time when cultivate Shen power after reaching martial level, the Yao Shen power methods were the same. The power of the Sky Yao was already fixed, and they were not suited to further cultivating Shen power. When the Council of Elders realized this, they were full of regret. But the Council of Elders did not lack for experts. They still controlled the strongest existences that represented the traditional Yao arts, the Sky Yao. Looking from the perspective of future potential, the Sky Yao were not as talented as the geniuses, but in terms of current strength, there was not such a great difference between the two. One side was the peak existence of traditional Yao arts, the other were the genius youths that cultivated Shen power. With the addition of Kunlun's interference, the collision between the two was fierce. Everyone knew that there was no way the conflict would be resolved peacefully. Intense conflicts occurred and both sides suffered heavy fatalities. Other than the secret battles between experts, the fighting between the two sides were not limited to one area. Yu Qinlai was expressionless. After Nan Yu and the others returned to Mo Cloud Sea, the pressure on him increased. The Council of Elders and Ming Yuyi fought and they were also affected. Everyone looked towards Yu Qinlai. Their breathing became rushed. They had a feeling that boss background was about to be revealed. "We will support Elder Ming Yuyi," Yu Qinlai said indifferently. The group all had expressions of realization. So boss background was Elder Ming Yuyi. Actually, when Ming Yuyi had mentioned Liang Wei, they had speculated that the power behind boss was Elder Ming Yuyi. The arrival Nan Yu and the other Shen power experts seemed to prove this. Weren't those outrageously young and powerful guys the same as those from the legendary Genius Alliance? Yu Qinlai coughed deliberately. "Everyone remember, we did not do anything before this." Yes, we did not do anything." "Ah. What did we do?" "We slept and ate every day. I was in seclusion all this time." All of the members had expressions saying, "I know, we understand." Yu Qinlai showed a cruel and ruthless expression. "Our work has been good, the higher-ups are satisfied. Everyone needs to work harder in the future." Everyone was full of joy. They had managed to launder themselves clean. Yu Qinlai managed to reach out to and form a connection with Ming Yuyi. The conflict between the Council of Elders and Ming Yuyi also affected his territory. He immediately realized that this was a 1 in 1,000 chance, and unhesitatingly sided with Ming Yuyi, giving up his own territory. Yu Qinlai's youth and his experienced skills immediately won him praise from the higher-ups. This was a trait of Ming Yuyi's group. They favored young talents because the majority of them were young. Yu Qinlai was so young yet he had conquered such a large territory. It could be seen that he was talented. Adding on that this was a period of time that Ming Yuyi's faction was heavily recruiting from other factions, Yu Qinlai was immediately deputized as the highest-ranked supervisor in this region. Yu Qinlai took up the burden and immediately started to cleanse the region of the Council of Elders' influence. With experience from the underground world, Yu Qinlai was decisive and skilled in killing. At this time, he was like a sharp knife that fit the hand. Pu Yao sneaked into the 10-finger prison, and faked large amounts of investigation reports on Yu Qinlai. His cover was flawless. The state of the world was turbulent, the Yao were all worried. Many people even thought that this inner conflict would continue for a long time, and would even cause the Yao into civil war. Yet no one would have thought that it would finish so quickly. Ming Yuyi's skill that was a step above others and once again showed its effectiveness. Just as everyone was focused on the inner conflict between the Yao, Mu Shikor silently started a campaign against Kunlun. Yes, Kunlun, the hegemon of the world, Kunlun. With astounding presence, Mu Shikor successively took back 7 jia that Kunlun had taken over. The military was shocked, the Yao were shocked, the Council of Elders was shocked, the world was shocked. That was Kunlun. Ming Yuyi was so daring to attack Kunlun proactively. She stepped on Kunlun to display her resolve. What people felt most incomprehensible was Ming Yuyi had succeeded. When the news of this battle was sent back to the Yao, everyone went crazy. Ming Yuyi who had taken back the occupied territory and reached a peak in her reputation. She wasn't just loved by the people, even the prestigious families that had originally supported the Council of Elders started to lean towards her. A powerful and united Yao benefited everyone. The situation seemed become one-sided for Ming Yuyi. Facing Ming Yuyi, who had won that battle, the Council of Elders shrank back and hid. At this time, fighting against Ming Yuyi was not wise. They knew that Ming Yuyi needed to face Kunlun's anger next. All of Kunlun was angry. When did someone dare to attack Kunlun? Offense on the dignity of the hegemon could not be tolerated. Kunlun did not hesitate. Mu Xian, the 8th-ranking battle general of the 10 great battle generals, led 6 battalions as they ferociously pressed towards the Yao borders. A great battle was about to occur. This great battle between Kunlun and the Yao attracted the eyes of the world. Everyone wanted to see how Kunlun, the hegemon of the world, was going to get their honor back. They also wanted to see how Ming Yuyi, called the strongest female, would respond. Kunlun needed to recover face through battle. Ming Yuyi also needed continued victories to maintain the support of the people. If she failed, she would be the criminal that started a war. Her reputation would plummet. The situation with the Council of Elders would immediately reverse, and she would receive a destructive blow. People would doubt her. But if she won, she believed that the Council of Elders would not have any chance at all. Both sides needed victory. This was fated to be a great and terrible battle. Chapter 823, Weaving Girls Shuttles Mo and Li Xian faced off. I hadn't thought that I would encounter Mr. Zhou. It is a happy occasion when old friends to meet. Li Xian smiled without any nervousness. Yes, yes. Mo said with a snicker. He examined Li Xian as though he was seeing a mountain of Jingshi. Last time in the Mo territories, I saw Mr. Zhou and wanted to experience it myself. How about a battle today? Li Xian's face was full of spirit. Fighting? Of course there has to be a fight, but it is 2 of us against you. Mo said scoundrelly and then moved without any hesitation. As though she was connected with his mind, almost at the same time, a Gui disappeared from beside him. Damn it! Li Xian cursed inside. She had originally intended to use words to herd Mo to get a chance to fight one-on-one. Usually, in front of a woman, there were rarely any men that were willing to embarrass themselves and gang up on the woman. If there was a one-on-one fight, Li Xian had some confidence that she could handle Mo. This was her only chance to reverse the situation. She hadn't expected Mo to completely ignore her. She didn't know if Mo had seen through her intentions or if he was such a scoundrel. But she reacted quickly. The Abyss Fiend Jail had a great effect on suppressing power. She had the Chief Elder's Jinji to counteract this force, but the enemy didn't. She may have a chance. Her eyes suddenly lit up. If she could kill Mo, then Mo Cloud C was finished. Tian Huan had studied Mo Cloud C in depth. Mo Cloud C had many strong people. Wei Sheng, Gong Sun Cha, Bi Han and others. All of them were stars in their own right. However, there was one person that was the pillar of the faction. Mo Tian Huan thought hard of to find a to kill Mo but found in the end it was almost impossible. Mo's strength was unfathomable. The only other faction in the Shuzhe world who could reach this level was Lin Qian's Kunlun. But a chance appeared like this. Li Xian's fighting spirit rose, a hint of determination flashing through her beautiful eyes. Other than the Chief Elder's Jinji, she had something else powerful enough to determine the battle, Weaver Girl's shuttle. Tian Huan's only Shen device raiment. The Shen power inside her body moving, the Shen glyphs appeared on her exposed skin like blooming roses. An exquisite pink battle armor appeared on her body. The layers of pink plates were like the petals of pink flowers. No one would think that this beautiful and slightly adorable battle armor was the strongest Shen device raiment of Tian Huan, the Weaver Girl's shuttle. Yet in Zhuo Mo's eyes, Li Xian wasn't adorable at all. The surging Shen power caused Li Xian to look like a furious whirlpool. Zhuo Mo had to pause. If he charged in now, he would be pulled into the Shen power whirlpool. Zhuo Mo knew very well the power of a Shen power whirlpool. He, in fact, had a small whirlpool inside his right hand. However, the Shen power coming off Li Xian was enough to tear him to pieces. As expected. Just as Zhuo Mo retreated, he heard a brnng sound next to his ear. The seemingly adorable armor plates on Li Xian stood on end. A powerful presence immediately rushed outwards like a twister that lost control. Zhuo Mo's expression changed slightly. He reacted quickly. Golden light appeared on his right hand. A small axe appeared in his palm. With a shout, he threw the little axe towards Li Xian. Zhuo Mo did not stay idle. 3 sun shen thorns glided along the ground like nimble vipers that flew silently towards Li Xian. Li Xian flicked out a pink ray of light that hit the sun shen axe. The sun shen axe seemed to be frozen midair. Her pink-clad feet lightly tapped and a pink ripple spread. Pia pia pia, the 3 sun shen thorns were crushed into powder. In the entire process, she didn't even look at Zhuo Mo. Snap snap snap. A burst of explosions sounded above her heads. She was like a blurry purple mist. A Gui was like a ghost that flashed in and out of view. The two were attacking at a rapid rate. Zhuo Mo was astounded. He knew that as the first seed of Tianhuan Li Xian was strong. The only person that ranked above her was the chief elder. However, he found after fighting her that Li Xian was stronger than he imagined. She was much stronger than the people he had fought just now. Zhuo Mo took a deep breath, and his spirit burned like fire. No matter what, he had to capture Li Xian today. Only if he took down Li Xian could he realize his strategy. Zhuo Mo did not hesitate any longer and advanced. Li Xian was astounded. The other two was not affected by the fine souls. What she did not know was that Zhuo Mo and Agui had spent a long time in the sealed extinction battlefield and they had developed a resistance against corruption from fiend souls. Additionally, Zhuo Mo cultivated the sun shen power which was the bane to all things corrupt. Agui's undying shen power was the complete opposite, having a strong affinity for fiend souls. She could absorb these ean and corrupt existences. This was the perfect battlefield for Agui. Li Xian was shocked but not afraid. She was still calm. The other did not have the upper hand even 2 against 1. Shen power appeared continuously through the Shen glyphs. She didn't have any feelings of tiredness and was filled with fighting spirit. In the sect, the other Shidi were not a match for her, and no one dared to really fight against her. She had great strength but not a lot of real battle experience. Of the 2 enemies, Zhuo Mo's attacks were broad and open, while Agui's were unpredictable. The 2 completely different styles forced her to focus. However, this caused her to improve quickly. After the initial panic, she gradually calmed down. The Shen glyphs inside her body had an indescribable resonance with the weaving girl's shuttle. This profound resonance caused her consciousness to be clear and hold every corner of the battlefield in her mind. She could clearly feel the Shen glyphs inside her body become more active under the simulation of the weaving girl shuttle. It seemed to be a powerful heart that gave her endless Shen power and filled her with strength. As expected, only strong enemies could cause him to improve faster. Li Xian felt unprecedentedly powerful. Her eyes narrowed sharply. Some of the weaving girl's shuttle scales started to show exquisite patterns like roses. It was like a sleeping beast gradually waking. Her attacks immediately became stronger. As she moved, the pink Shen power ripples were filled with fatal danger. Zhuo Mo felt the pressure increase. The techniques of Shen power were not as complex as spells. Most of them were simple, and what determined their power was the strength of Shen power. Li Xian's Shen power was becoming stronger. This was why he was feeling the pressure increase. Yet he didn't feel any fear. Under the stimulation of great danger, the Sun Shen power inside his body became unusually active. The golden Shen power burned like flowing lava and made Zhuo Mo feel as though he was about to burn up. Kill! Zhuo Mo's body flashed dark gold. With a shout, the anti-dragon claw he held had a layer of blinding golden energy. He swung towards Li Xian as though he was holding a two-handed axe. At this time, he could not care about something like capturing the enemy live. The air started to ignite where the anti-dragon claw had passed. The golden axe energy flickered and spat like the tongue of the sun's flame. Li Xian's eyes widened. A long pink shuttle flew in front of her. Li Xian's nimble left hand drew in the air lightning fast. The long pink shuttle moved through the air at astounding speed. In a flash, a pink rose wall took form. Every flower petal could be clearly seen. They were in layers, exquisite and beautiful. The furious Sun Shen axe cut hard onto the pink rose wall. Boom! The pink rose wall seemed to be weak. It immediately shattered and flew in all directions. Yet Zhuo Mo's expression changed. The anti-dragon claw seemed to have cut into cotton. Invisible power was stopping it, or wrapping around it, or pulling at it. The Sun Shen axe that had been unstoppable was halved immediately in presence. Zhuo Mo did not have time to be startled when he felt a stirring of danger. He saw pink flowers spinning in the air around him. They had not dissipated. Zhuo Mo was experienced in battle. With a look he knew there was a killing move coming. Immediately, he waved the anti-dragon claw around to protect his body. BRNG. The delicate pink flower petals dancing in the wind suddenly tensed, becoming hard, and then shot at Zhuo Mo. Ding ding ding. Zhuo Mo's anti-dragon claw moved and securely protected him. The pink flower petals hit the circle of light like raindrops on banana leaves and caused sprays of sparks. These seemingly delicate flower petals were astoundingly powerful. Powerful ripples from the collision caused Zhuo Mo's feet to continue to sink into the ground. In a flash, all of Zhuo Mo's calves had sank into the rock. The storm of attacks forced Zhuo Mo to instinctively wave the anti-dragon claw. At this time, Li Xian was fighting fiercely with a Gui. Li Xian could clearly feel that a Gui was more difficult to deal with than Zhuo Mo. Other than the unpredictable and eerie attacks, a Gui's gray crystal battle armor was not ordinary. The gray crystal armor caused a Gui to merge with her surroundings no matter where she appeared. Adding on a Gui's eerie and unpredictable movements, even Li Xian felt a headache. What shocked her even more was that a Gui's Shen power contained a great presence of death. Such a great death energy could only appear on something dead. Li Xian almost didn't believe her eyes. A Gui saw Zhuo Mo's situation and a thread of purple flame appeared in her eyes. Whoosh, a layer of purple flames appeared on the surface of the undying ghost. The flames were extremely thin as they silently burned. Two short bone daggers appeared on a Gui's hands. The short bone daggers were shrouded in purple flames. The gray, undying ghost, spread like the wings of a bird, the purple flames flowing within. The silent purple flames seemed to be able to consume everything in the surroundings. At the border of the flames was a circle of deep blackness. Shock suddenly flashed through Li Xian's eyes. Shen device raiment. This was a Shen device raiment. While the attributes of power were completely different, she was familiar with the unique presence of the Shen device raiment. She was almost immediately sure that this was a true Shen device raiment. Heavens! Other than Arsonist, Mo Cloud C had a second Shen device raiment. Chapter 824, Zhuo Mo's fury. The appearance of a Gui's undying ghost was a great blow to Li Xian. A Gui immediately grabbed the other's momentary lapse in concentration and her body moved. Almost at the same time, two purple dagger-shaped energies silently appeared behind Li Xian'er like spitting snakes. Li Xian'er detected the danger, and regretted her distraction. She lacked battle experience to have lost concentration in front of such a powerful opponent. The weaving girl's shuttle nimbly curved, and wove Shen glyphs to stop Agui's attack. Yet Agui's attack was fast. Li Xian'er lost the initiative when she lost concentration. The weaving girl's shuttle had only woven half of the Shen glyph when the two purple daggers hit the weaving girl's shuttle. Bam! Li Xian'er's heart shook and her inner energies roiled. The weaving girl's shuttle was blown back. An extremely thin strand of purple energy permeated the weaving girl's shuttle. At the same time, a dense Shen power with the presence of death silently burrowed into her body. As Li Xian'er was pulling back the weaving girl's shuttle, she felt a wave of coldness along her neck. She was astounded. Shen glyphs lit up on her pink boots and she suddenly disappeared from her spot. An eerie purple energy sliced past where she had been standing. If she had been a sliver slower, the dagger energy would have easily cut her neck in half. Li Xian'er appeared 20 zhang away, her face ashen, and startled. Several strands of hair had been cut by the dagger energy and were dancing in the wind. In that moment, she seemed to hear the breathing of the death god. The Shen glyphs on her combat boots had spiderweb cracks. The only reason she had escaped with her life was because of the life-saving Shen glyphs of the Shen device raiments. The weaving girl's shuttle had 3 life-saving Shen glyphs, each with different effects. There were only 2 left. She was a genius and strong. However, she lacked the tempering through blood and fire, and her resolve was much lower than people like Suemo and Agui. She gathered Shen power to exterminate the purple energy that had burrowed into her body. She suddenly felt that today was dangerous. Suemo felt extremely irritated today. He was being suppressed by Li Xian'er. It was rare for this situation to occur in his battle history. However, the other's Shen power was very powerful, and the Shen device raiment she wore was also extraordinary. The two together immediately caused Suemo to be put at a disadvantage. Suemo had always been confident in his Shen power. The Shen power whirlpool in his right hand could produce endless Shen power. While it was not a lot, the amount was significant when accumulated over time. He was also very hardworking and his Shen power had always continued to grow. In all of Mo Cloud Sea, except for the 2 freaks Agui and eldest Xixiang, no one else's growth could rival his. Suemo still didn't understand Agui's situation. But eldest Xixiang was tempering and absorbing the power of the god-killing blood sword. This ancient Shen sword that could rival the immemorial Shen sword contained a terrifying ocean of power. Suemo actually felt sympathy for eldest Xixiang. Every day, he had to struggle in that ocean. That would not feel good. Normal people would not be able to endure such pain. Suemo had tried once, and collapsed for 3 whole days after coming out. Eldest Xixiang received this method of cultivation that was like self-torture every day. Consequently, Suemo was not jealous of eldest Xixiang's strength at all. No one knew better than he did how eldest Xixiang's power had come about. Under the motivation of the powerful and inhuman eldest Xixiang, lured by a beautiful future full of mountains of Jingshi, Suemo also worked unusually hard on his cultivation. He had cultivated for every drop of his Shen power. The whirlpool in his right hand could only be considered an aid for him at present. He needed to spend more time on cultivation. He had completely memorized the Sun Shen methodology. Suemo was a very pragmatic person. His personality was slightly indolent, he had a bit of talent, but if he didn't have any pressure, he would be a wastrel. But if he felt pressure and danger, he would furiously move forwards to get away from the danger as fast as possible. Mo Cloud Sea seemed to be prospering, but it was surrounded by wolves. Danger was never far from them, and the pressure never disappeared from him. There was also Agui. The present Suemo had a strong belief he needed to protect Agui, protect Mo Cloud Sea, and to get revenge for sect leader and Shishu. Zhuemo, who did not waste any time, was filled with confidence in his own strength. Yet today, he was being suppressed by someone else, and it was also a woman. A feeling of suffocation he never had before was like a ball of fire burning inside Zhuemo. Blood filled his eyes. His features twisted, and his breathing was like fire. If he was so weak, how could he protect Ague, how could he protect everyone? There seemed to be a voice echoing in his mind. Countless scenes flashed through his mind. In a dark cave. Agui's pale face gradually became wooden and expressionless, her sad eyes gradually turning dull. Her flawless face started to grow marks, and a dark and grey vitality spread from her body. The gradually emptying eyes seemed to form tears. A cold pair of hands lightly touched the face of the unconscious youth. Everywhere the hands passed, the youth's face started to transform completely. He seemed to struggle but quickly calmed down. The void and grey had already taken over half of the young female's face. The terrifying marks grew from her forehead to her nose. She suddenly bent and pressed the remaining half of her smooth face to the youth's face and lightly rubbed. Ague will find young master. Definitely. The young female's determined voice echoed in the cavern. A teardrop landed on the face of the unconscious youth. When she raised her head, the terrifying marks had covered 2/3 of her face, and her eyes were almost completely taken over by the grey dullness. She did not hesitate and stood. She took a deep look at Zhuemo and disappeared. There were no tears in her grey and empty eyes. We will follow boss. Of course we will follow boss. We have such a big territory, we need to have a name. Oh, how about using boss name? Good idea. Zhuemo Cloud Sea. Please, have some skill. There is nothing poetic. Well, you do it. Oh, then let it be Mo Cloud Sea. Poetry is just having one word less. It will be Mo Cloud Sea. Agreed. Seriously agree. Whoa, great. So if he really is a Yaomo, send him away, it will be better than him ending up in the hands of Kunlun. We watched him grow up, we cannot rebel against the orders of Kunlun, ah. Curse it. Damn it. Bastard. The fire burning inside Zhuemo grew even hotter, so hot he felt as though he was about to combust. At this time, he was filled with a strong fury, one against himself. His Shen power could not compare to that woman. How could it be possible? How could it be possible? A furious roar reverberated in Zhuemo's chest. The burning fire inside his body suddenly exploded and swallowed him. All of his intelligence turned to ash in this instant. He only had instinct, only dissatisfaction, only fury. Countless flames erupted from his body and covered him completely. The sun crystal seed that had been sleeping in his body suddenly woke up. It started to spin slowly. The sun crystal seed seemed to feel Zhuemo's fury. Waves of crimson-red heat floated out of the depths of the sun crystal seed. The crimson-red flot turned into deep red flames once they floated out and circulated around Zhuemo's body. When the burning current encountered Shen power, boom, golden flames flashed like the enormous solar flares rising from the surface of the sun. Vast surging Shen power, like a volcano erupting, filled Zhuemo's body in an instant. The angry golden flames covered Zhuemo. The snapping of the flames were clear to hear. As the flames spat, golden ripples formed and extinguished. Li Xian'er was startled. She turned around and was shocked when she saw Zhuemo within the flames. A pair of peaceful eyes that did not have any emotion and was indifferent to their surroundings like that of a deity. Astounding presence spread outwards in waves from the spitting flames. Golden ripples that could be seen with the naked eyes formed and died out. Each golden ripple was much weaker by the time it reached Li Xian'er. But even this thin golden ripple caused an explosion and a tongue of flame shot out when it touched her presence. Li Xian'er felt a burning heat pass to her. her heart couldn't help but shake. The Zuo in front of her seemed to be a completely different person. But, he didn't have Shen equipment. Li Xian'er's mind was filled with terror. The Shen power that Zuo displayed now was so strong it almost surpassed the imagination. Zuo suddenly disappeared. Shocked, Li Xian'er's weaving girl's shuttle flew in front of her. In an instant, a complex Shen glyph took form. Almost at the same time, a blurry golden figure appeared in front of the Shen glyph. Zuo was so fast that Li Xian'er could not see him with her eyes. She could only see a blurry figure. The blurry figure quickly became clear. Because Zuo stopped in front of the Shen glyph. Without even shifting into an attack posture, his right hand, wrapped in flames, punched the Shen glyph. Crack! Like glass cracking, the hard Shen glyph turned to powder. The fist that still carried momentum suddenly opened and grabbed the weaving girl's shuttle. How was it possible? Li Xian'er's mind was completely blank and she was stunned where she stood. The scene that was occurring in front of her surpassed the limits of her imagination. The golden flames wrapped around the weaving girl's shuttle. The weaving girl's shuttle trembled violently as though it wanted to break free of Zuo's hand. Yet no matter how it struggled, it was unable to break free. A Gui's hand appeared at the back of Li Xian'er's head. Li Xian'er shook, but before she could react, she felt something tighten around her neck. A hand covered in purple flames seemed to appear out of nowhere and grab her neck. Chapter 825 Breakthrough. Mi Wu's face was black. Inside Tianhuan, the relationship between his family and the group led by the sect leader was tense, but this did not affect the friendship between him and Li Xian'er. Li Xian'er was mischievous from childhood, but was an honorable and honest person. He had suffered greatly due to her antics in childhood, but childhood friendships were so wonderful. The two did not grow apart but became even closer. In the era of Ling power, Mi Wu's talent was not as outstanding as it was now. However, Li Xian'er dismissed him due to this and always motivated him. This time, Mi Nandarin had agreed to send Li Xian'er here. Mi Wu had been very angry, but he could not rebel directly against the true leader of the Mi family. Consequently, he requested to take part in this risky mission. Unexpectedly, Mi Nandarin did not object. The relationship between the four seats was not bad. Other than Sang Dong, who was more of a recluse, the other people had small flaws but were within the limits of normality. They had grown up together as children and trusted each other. He and Jin Xiaoyu had led the assassination accompanied by 4 ring masters. He had thought that they would absolutely succeed with such a powerful team. However, the development of events surpassed their predictions. In a meditative trance, Jin Xiaoyu's body shook, and Mi Wu hurriedly threw away his stray thoughts. Jin Xiaoyu opened his eyes. Seeing Mi Wu's concerned gaze, he grimaced, "Terrible, the Shen glyph has been severely damaged. It will take at least 3 months to fix. I only have 6/10 of my battle abilities." Mi Wu felt bitterness in his mouth. What Tianhuan disciples feared the most was damage to their Shen glyphs. The use of Shen glyphs among top disciples like them were completely different from the normal disciples. Their Shen glyphs were the spring that their Shen power was produced from. If the Shen glyph was damaged, both the production and use of Shen power would be greatly obstructed. This was the newest method that Chief Elder had created. Tianhuan's Shen glyph scripture had reached a completely new height. However, how are Wu Ru's wounds? Jin Xiaoyu's voice interrupted Mi Wu's thoughts. Mi Wu comforted, "It has stabilized. But the possibility of the Shen glyph recovering is not high." Jin Xiaoyu was silent, a flicker of pain flashing through his eyes. He had personally picked Wu Ru to be a ringmaster, and the other had followed him for a long time. He never thought. Mi Wu was silent for a moment before he said hoarsely, "Wu Zhen also did not come back." Among the 12 ring masters, Wu Zhen definitely ranked in the top 3 for power. For Mi Wu, the sacrifice of Wu Jin meant that his strength would be greatly reduced. Jin Xiaoyu sighed and said, "This trip, we really made a great misstep." His expression was bitter. The cruel battle had cleared his mind. He asked, "Have you managed to get into contact with Xian Air?" "No." Mi Wu bit hard on his lips that looked as though they were about to drip with blood. Jin Xiaoyu's mouth was open, but he was speechless. Moments later, his face was dispirited. Both of them knew they had completely failed the mission this time. Why? The sect leader of Xixian glared at Zhongde like a wild beast at the end of the road, his eyes bloodshot. Zhongde was expressionless. "You do not have the capabilities." "No." The sect leader of Xixian seemed to be mad as he shouted at the top of his lungs. "Who says that I do not have the capabilities? Based on what? Based on what do you say I am not able? If you consent to Tianhuan's demands, we would have 10 years of time." 10 years. With these 10 years, Xixian will rise again in my hands. Zhongde's eyes did not even move. Your Xixian and the past Xixian will not be any different. Isn't that a good thing? The sect leader of Xixian looked in disbelief at Zhongde as he howled. How strong was the previous Xixian? One of the 4 titans, no one dared to go against us, we were high up, and experienced the greatest power of the world. Zhongde said coldly, "Therefore, Yunji died, and I was sent to the Abyss Fiend jail." The howls of the Xixian sect leader choked off. He looked dazedly at Zhongde. A moment later, he said furiously. "No. You cannot do this. You madman. You want to ruin Xixian." Zhongde was expressions. The Xixian of the past should not exist. Finishing, he turned and walked away. "You cannot do this. You cannot do this." The sect leader was incoherent. He trembled. Terror surrounded him. He suddenly seemed to find a life-saving tether. "You cannot do this. You owe my father. You owe my father." Zhongde stopped walking. Without even turning his head, he threw down. "I said to you before that I already repaid his favor." Finishing, he left and did not linger. "You cannot do this. Sob sob, you cannot do this." The loud screams suddenly stopped. When Mi Wu and Jin Xiaoyu's reports were passed back to Tianhuan, the higher-ups of Tianhuan were astounded. Trap. This was definitely a trap. Mo Cloud C unexpectedly sent all of their top experts to set up such a trap. Tianhuan suffered great losses, and now Tianhuan was in a state where they had lost the initiative. They tried to use all kinds of methods to get in contact with Li Xian Air, but they all failed. All the signs pointed that Li Xian Air's situation was not good. For Tianhuan, this was an unacceptable result. The upper ranks fought fiercely. One side thought they needed to use all of their power to rescue Li Xian Air. The other side thought they should start negotiations with Mo Cloud C to ransom Li Xian Air back. The side favoring negotiation quickly gained the upper hand. The reason was very simple. Mi Wu and Jin Xiaoyu's reports had come back to Tianhuan. There were many problems that had been exposed by the battle this time. For example, Tianhuan disciples lacked combat experience. This was especially evident during battles. Mo Cloud C's experts all were experienced in battle, and the experts on Tianhuan's side were mostly youths that had been promoted due to having outstanding talent at cultivating Shen glyphs these past years. Many of them had been unknown before the era of Shen power had started, and no special attention had been paid to them. After entering the era of Shen power, their talent at cultivating Shen glyphs were uncovered and attracted the attention of the sect. They all worked very hard, and with the great investment the sect gave them, it created their strength. However, their experience in battle could not be made up so quickly. These years of time was only enough for them to work on their cultivation. They were on a completely different level compared to the lawless bandits from Mo Cloud Sea. The two sides had similar numbers of experts, but they were unable to win. And sending a battalion was not the best plan. If they angered Zhuai Mo, Xian Air would be in danger. After fierce fighting, the Tianhuan envoys traveled day and night to get to Xixian at the fastest possible speed. Zhuai Mo slowly opened his eyes. The surging Shen power in his body gradually calming like a furious sea becoming peaceful. He exhaled, and a ruler-straight gust of air flecked with gold appeared. His dark gold eyes were like two small golden suns. The sun crystal seed in his body slowed down in its revolutions. His Shen power also calmed down. Burning flows continued to erupt out of the slowly spinning sun crystal seed. These burning flows were not Shen power, but it could perfectly meld with Shen power. In Zhuai Mo's eyes, the sun crystal seed had always been a very powerful treasure. When the strange corpse had given it to him, he had said that this was something passed down by the Sun tribe. While the strange corpse had sealed it so that Zhuai Mo could take it, Zhuai Mo had never found the correct way to use the sun crystal seed. Until today. Zhuai Mo's Shen power suddenly moved, and a Sun Shen axe appeared on his hand. Yet this time, the Sun Shen axe was clearly different than before. On the axe made from golden light, crimson-red burning flames wisped. The already domineering Sun Shen axe became even more savage, and an indescribable burning presence spread. The sun crystal seed was the seed of a sun. It already contained the power of the sun, and it perfectly matched with Sun Shen power. In other words, the sun crystal seed was the best amplification device for Sun Shen power. Zhuai Mo's hands moved and a Sun Shen spike appeared in his hand. Unlike in the past, there were crimson-red rings around this Sun Shen spike. The sun-flowing flames were segmented on the Sun Shen spike. So devious. If the enemy was inattentive, the Sun Shen spikes would explode in segments and the sun's flowing flames inside would spray everywhere. These flowing flames that came from a true sun would burn someone until not even their bones were left. As Zhuai Mo sighed over this, he was overjoyed. Deviousness was great. The Shen power inside his body also had large amounts of sun-flowing flames mixed within. With every circulation, they slowly refined his body. This was not a visible effect in the short term, but over time the accumulation would be astounding. He shook his head. The revolutions of the sun crystal seed, and the endless sun-flowing flames could make his attack stronger, but they could not increase his Shen power. Zhuai Mo's mind suddenly moved. Theoretically, Li Xian Air was unlikely to have cultivated Shen power faster than him, but the battle just now showed that Li Xian Air's Shen power was stronger than his. Had Tianhuan found a special method? Zhuai Mo's eyes unconsciously landed on his spoils of victory. A Gui had taken the weaving girl shuttle that Li Xian Air wore. Other than clothing, almost everything else had been stripped off. A Gui had been with Zhuai Mo for a long time, and learned all he did. Coming out of his sudden excitement, Zhuai Mo looked at Li Xian Air and immediately had energy. He unconsciously swallowed. Li Xian Air's status in Tianhuan could match Lin Qian's past status in Kunlun. Zhuai Mo completely ignored Li Xian Air's beauty, his eyes staring straight at the pile of spoils at Li Xian Air's feet that a Gui had taken off. The pink weaving girl shuttle had been placed on the ground. The rose patterns were exquisite. There were other things such as rings and bracelets. Oh, Agu, you are too bad, you even took off her boots. Ooh, good job. While the combat boots were slightly damaged, they could be seen from the patterns that they were exceptional. Little Mo Guess breathing suddenly sped up, only one thought in his mind. They had struck it rich. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.